And all right. Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to Speedrun Saturdays. This is, I think this is our 7th episode already. Today we are featuring Rico KSB. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, let everybody know what you're all about.
Hey, I'm Rico. I speedrun a lot of the Crash games. I think like every single main series platformer I've done a run of. And today I'm going to be doing Crash 4, which came out, it's like 8 months ago now.
It's actually been a while, yeah.
Yeah, it was last October. But yeah, I'm going to be doing all clear gems, which is essentially this game's equivalent to like Crash 2's 100%. It's not really the same. You only get, this is only like 53% of the game, but it's essentially you beat every level at full completion. Without all the repetitive stuff that's in Crash 4.
Is that the relic challenges, or what are those?
No, it's just the gems in every level. There's gonna be no time trials. There's a mode in this game called inverted mode that has 6 more gems that are required for completion. But that's essentially just doing the category twice, so we don't have that in here either. So.
Gotcha. So this is going to be a pretty in-depth category. You guys are going to see a lot more of the game than you normally see with any percent. What's the time difference between like any percent and all clear gems?
This category is actually twice as long as any percent, because the current any percent record is like 1:17:27. That was actually set last night by Crispy Tacos. And then I have the record in this category, and my time is a 2 hour and 48-minute time.
Speaking of last night, you still feeling well rested after you did what, like 8 or 9 hours of all the Crash games?
Oh yeah, yeah. I did a quadfecta of this game and the other 3. Just got all the gems in them. Yeah, I actually slept pretty well last night, so I'm feeling good.
Good. Well, I'm excited to see this. We're pretty much good to get started whenever you are. So if you want to hit me with a countdown, just let me know.
All right, let me make sure everything's set up. And then,
is there anything to that modern or retro that we just saw?
Yeah, so the game on modern mode, which is the mode they intended you to play on, is there's no lives, so it's kind of like more modern platformer games where they have like the infinite life system. So you've seen like Super Mario Odyssey doesn't have lives anymore. Right. Celeste doesn't have lives. Hat in Time doesn't have lives. They put in a retro mode because I'm assuming they figured people would complain if Crash Bandicoot didn't have lives, even though I personally think lives are a very outdated mechanic.
Yeah.
And there is actually almost no functional difference, because when you play on retro mode, this game vomits lives at you, so you're like constantly at 99. So it makes it even more pointless. It's
just kind of an outdated system in general, because there's not much difference other than in game overing, other than it just sets you back a little bit more. But and I actually think them going to infinite lives was really beneficial, because it let the game be a lot more difficult than previous Crash games. Because I would say this is even harder than Crash 1, but it's difficult in a way that's rewarding and fair, and you don't get overly punished for just making constant mistakes. Gotcha. So, but yeah, that's the preview.
So it let them ramp up the difficulty without making the game unfair.
Gotcha.
All right, and
we're all ready to go?
I think I'm good to go then.
Cool.
Yep.
Go ahead and count me down.
All right, I'll count down from 3. 3, 2, 1, go. Thankfully, I'm also playing the PC version, and thankfully this version has very nice loads compared to the original release on PS4. So the movement in this game is something that's quite commonly seen across most Crash games, which is slide spinning. There's no like crazy glitch movement in like your basic kit, so there's no like neutral slide spin from the original. There's no Hobbs sliding from the N.SANTY trilogy. But the slide spin in this game is really powerful, so it almost like it doesn't really feel like it's slow at all.
It looks like it's like just a moving hitbox all the time.
Yeah, so there's like no cooldown between the slide and the spin. You can like slide and then immediately go into a spin, and then from there you can just immediately go back into a slide. And the spin carries a lot of the slide momentum. So it just really feels like you're just flying through the levels.
It looks like you can...
The timing...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the timing for the slide spins is like... It's pretty generous. Again, you can do them really rapidly like I do, but then there's also situations where you want to like draw the slide out. Because this game has a thing that the developers called Coyote Time, where when you slide off of a ledge, you actually stay suspended in the air until the slide ends. So you kind of just saw there, I slid off that ledge and it just... Yeah, so it lets you make a lot of really crazy gaps, and you can skip a lot of holes. And it was completely intended on the developer's part.
Didn't they patch out some of the skips that were in the demo?
So there was one skip in the demo, in the level Snow Way Out, that let you skip a cutscene. That was patched by the time the game was released. There were also a bunch of skips that they patched out of the next-gen versions of the game, so PS5, Series X, and Switch. All of the skips are still in the PC version, though.
Yeah, luckily this game got released on PC right away. Otherwise, that probably wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, we were. They all still exist on PS4, so it's not like it wasn't a situation like how like in like Spiral Reignited, you guys like completely lost roll and air, and there's like no way to get it back. There is still ways to have all the skips on some version of the game. Yeah, I guess I should explain.
Yeah, probably.
What the clear gems are, because there's 6 gems in every level in this game. There's the standard box gem. There's a hidden gem in every level where it's literally just somewhere in the level and you have to find it. They're not the ones in the normal levels generally aren't too bad. There's a couple that get a little cryptic, but overall they're pretty not too difficult to find. I don't want to say they're easy, I guess. And then there's 3 gems for collecting a certain amount of Wumpa fruit. One of them is 80% of the fruit, so essentially if you grab 80% of the fruit, you get all 3 of the gems. And most levels, it's pretty easy to grab 80% fruit. There's a couple that I call Wumpa Starved where I have to pay attention to what I'm getting. This level is one of them. But otherwise, that gem's like not too difficult to worry about. And then the last gem is a gem that is rewarded for dying less than 3 times in the level. So anybody who's run a Crash Bandicoot game, you know how badly these levels can snowball if something goes wrong. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Is there any RNG to worry about?
If there is, I can't think about it right now. I think there's one instance, and the chances of it actually messing with me are very low, but it happened like 2 days ago, but I'll mention it when we get there. It's pretty far into the run.
Alright, make sure you complain about it.
Oh, I will. I hate the level that it's in. Alright, so there's a little puzzle here that they hint at on the wall immediately before entering this room, but if you step on these stone platforms in a very specific pattern...
Okay.
You get the red gem.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's only 4 color gems in this game. I don't know if they planned to have the purple gem and just ran out of time. But there's red, green, blue, and yellow. And they're all like hidden in like a Crash 2 style of crypticness where like there's something you have to do to figure out how to find it. They are a lot more cryptic than Crash 2's, but they do hint to you how to do it at somewhere in the level for everyone. So they're not like completely ridiculous. Like, I guess a comparison would be like, you know, in Crash 3, the 2 hidden levels, there's not really any hint at all at how to get them. There at least is a hint for these ones. It's just you have to be observant on like your background.
So lore-wise, what was that was chasing you there?
I have no idea. I don't think they actually explain it.
Okay.
It's just, it reminds me of the giant lava monster from Moana. But I don't know what it is, actually.
We'll just say it's that.
Yeah, so this game follows a linear level progression like Crash 1, which they did for story-related reasons, because the game does actually have a very coherent plot. Let me just do something real quick first, though. I'm going to switch to Coco. She's cooler.
Fair enough.
Crash and Coco are functionally identical, and switching to Coco takes like a couple frames max. So Coco's my favorite character in the series, so I just like playing as her. That being said, I did put on a skin that is also my favorite skin in the game, which is the Totally Tubular skin. That does lose me like 2 seconds to put on, but it's 2 seconds in a 3-hour category, so I'm not really that pressed about it.
Right. That's fair. But no, there's literally no difference.
Yeah, they are functionally identical, which is good because in the N.SANTY trilogy they were supposed to be functionally identical, and movement-wise they are, but the animations that they have for throwing items up in the warp room in those games actually do have like slight differences in their speed, and one of them on Coco is really slow. So in the N.SANTY trilogy, Coco is actually not optimal to use, which hurt me greatly when I ran that game. So.
But here she is, only losing you 3 seconds.
Only 3 seconds. Not even. It's more like 2.
Oh, okay. Depends how fast you are on that day.
Yeah, 3 frames and then 2 seconds for the skin.
So are there any gameplay mechanics we should be looking out for yet that would be unique to the basic like loadout, I guess?
Yeah, so this is the first level that has one of the 4 quantum masks. They're essentially this game's gimmick. And they each grant you a special power for a certain amount of time in the level. This quantum mask is Lonnie Loli. I use him a lot at the beginning of the level. His power is phasing. So when you use the mask power button, certain crates will like phase in and out of existence in this dimension, I guess. And basically you have to, phase things in, break them, and then phase stuff back out to phase other things in. In any percent, he's a pretty straightforward master. There's not too much to him tech-wise. He does have a really cool strat in this category that lets you break explosive crates really quickly, which I'll show off here. So basically, there's 2 mask power buttons, and if you hit both at the same time, you phase in and then immediately phase back out. And if you're in a TNT or a Nitro when you do that, the crate explodes, but you don't get hit by the blast because the blast is phased out.
How do you feel about the time mechanics? Like, do you like that uniqueness of this game? Do you like this game more than the other Crash games, I guess is also what I'm asking?
So I do really like the way they handled the quantum masks in general in this game, because the thing I think that sets this game's gimmicks apart from, like Crash 3's or the Wrath of Cortex's is that those games' gimmicks were vehicles that really like took away from the platforming. Whereas this game's gimmicks, and this is also like a praise I give to N.SANTY, is that this game's gimmicks add to the platforming. Like, there's a lot of gimmicks in the game, but at the end of the day, I'm still playing a platformer.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like they tacked it on. It feels like it expands on what is already there. So I really like that. As for how I feel about this compared to other Crash games, this game is definitely in my top 3, and it's one of the 3 games that's in the running for my favorite Crash game. It's between this, Crash 2, and Crash N.SANTY.
I know, it seems like a lot of people in the Crash community have a love for N.SANTY, at least from what I've seen, and a hate for Crash Bash.
Yeah. That describes me pretty well.
All right, and also that gem that you had in that last level, it wasn't hidden very well.
Yeah, hidden's a bit of a loose term.
Gotcha.
Some of them are really well hidden, and then some of them are kind of just out there. And then we won't see them in the run, but in the inverted levels, they use the term hidden on both extremes, by either meaning it's not hidden at all and it's in plain sight, or it's literally impossible to find without a guide. But thankfully, most of the normal levels, the hidden gems are reasonable, and they're not too easy to find.
I can't speak on level design so much, but as far as the art direction goes, each level looks really nice in this game. I would have to say.
I think aesthetically this is my favorite Crash game. I love the art style and direction they went with it. I think it looks really vibrant and colorful. It looks really good on the PS5 as well. The PS5 is a lot brighter, but the PC version on insane graphics, even though it's not like as vibrant, I feel like the colors still blend really well. And then, as far as level design goes, this is probably also my favorite Crash game. It's very Crash 1-esque, I feel, where it puts a lot of emphasis on the platforming, and it gets very, like, complex. And I feel like a lot of Crash games, especially from like 3 on, so like 3 and Wrath of Cortex, became sort of tunnel-like, where it's like there is platforming, but it's like pretty straightforward, and in a lot of levels you were in no genuine risk of dying. I think of like the medieval levels in Crash 3 as an example of that. And Crash 2 is generally pretty good about it, but even Crash 2's level design I don't think is as intricate as Crash 1's. So Crash 4 goes back to the very intricate level design of the first game, which I really like, because that's one of my favorite things about Crash 1.
Crash 1 is like all movement.
Yeah. So you're gonna see a trend with these bonuses, which is you go to the end of the bonus, you trigger something, and then you go backwards. The bonuses overall, I think, are pretty cool, but there is a lot of backtracking in them. But there's also a lot of strats in the bonuses that let you sequence break a good few of them.
So for those rail sections, do those ever become like any more difficult, or are they just pretty straightforward for you?
They're for the most part straightforward. They're in any percent friendly. They're one of the things I don't really enjoy about the category because there's so many of them, and they're completely auto scrollers. There's no way to speed them up, so it's just constant downtime. But in this category, while they're still auto scrollers, I do have to pay attention to the crates on them, so I become a bit more engaged with them. All right, so I'm gonna try to jump here. All right, I have to do a body slam to set it up, but yeah, if I do that completely cleanly, then I don't have to do the body slam. But it's a bit weird to time because I have to phase out the platform I'm landing on, jump through it, and then phase it back in. And if I time it wrongly and I phase it back in while I'm in it, it will kill me. All right, so at the beginning of that level, I picked up a flashback tape. Those unlock. There's 21 of them, and they unlock flashback levels, which they're essentially super difficult bonus levels that lore-wise explain how Crash and Coco were created before Crash 1. But they're not necessary for this category. And honestly, I kind of like that because the tapes are very, very frustrating to complete fast. So generally, like, there's no point in picking them up. The first one is you're forced to pick it up because they just want to explain what it is to you. But for the rest of the category, if I pick them up, it's not really. It doesn't lose or gain any time. So, like, there's a tape right there, but I'm just not gonna bother getting it.
Yeah. No point. So sometimes on the boxes that you have to like, what is the technical term for the ones that you like bounce off of repeatedly?
Like the ones out of the 10 fruit?
Yeah.
I think they're just called bounce crates.
Okay. On those ones, sometimes you're probably going to want to farm them for more Wampa fruit, or is that just never the case?
It depends on the level. The level we just did, Crash Compactor, I did bounce on some of them to farm fruit, because that's the first level that is kind of like starved on Wumper fruit. Most of the levels you don't have to worry about it, but there are some, and there's one especially notorious one really late in the run where I will very blatantly be bouncing on a lot of crates.
Also, how often do you find yourself having to like wait on cycles, I guess, or is that strictly only if you're personally slow? I feel like it depends on the level, and as the run has evolved, we've definitely found ways to get around more cycles. The cycles in this game are largely proximity based, which is very different from like previous Crash games where everything was either global or when you enter the level.
Yeah. Like all of the OG Crash games, like nearly every cycle is global, which is like one of the big defining factors of Crash 1 and 3 especially, but also to an extent Crash 2. And then like the N.SANTY trilogy, almost all of the cycles are local and they start the moment you enter the level. But this game, most of the cycles are proximity based and they start when you get near them and you hit a certain trigger. So like early on, a lot of people were like, well, how do you dodge all these? You're gonna have to do a lot of waiting. But as time has gone on and as runners have gotten faster, we've found a way around a lot of them. There's still some that I have to wait on, at least for now. But overall, I feel like there's not too much waiting going on in this run.
Also, shout out to everybody in the chat wishing Rico good luck. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. So this part's some people see this as a throwback to the ball levels from Wrath of Cortex. I kind of see it, but outside of it being a ball, they're not really that similar.
It'd be more like, yeah, no. Not really.
Yeah, it's a ball, so the Wrath of Cortex is the default. Okay, so here's another secret.
Wait, what?
Yep. That one I found on complete accident, because the hint for that gem in this level is probably the most poorly placed one. They hint at it at the very beginning of the level, whereas every other hint, it tells you how to get it at around the point that you would get the gem anyway. And that one on my casual playthrough, I just like hit the trash can and the little controller came out. I was like, oh, what's this? And I kept spinning it. And I was like, oh, what's this little remote toy car? And it ran into the nitro and it exploded and the green gem was there. And I was like, oh, okay.
Do they have anything like in Crash 2 where you just step on the polar bear's head 50 times and then it gives you a bunch of lives?
They do not. No, not that I can think of it. There's like a bunch of little like fun Easter eggs that on the PS4 version gives you like trophies and stuff. So I think if you hit every trash can in this level, you get a trophy. There's another level where like there's like a dumpster and there's like cats running around, and if you scare the cats, you get a trophy. So there's small stuff like that, but completion-wise, there isn't anything really like that.
I don't know. That interaction has like lived in my head rent free because when I was a kid, I just you notice you can step on its head, and then of course you're gonna do it 20 times.
Yeah. Alright, so this is the first boss, and there's a very difficult, intricate skip that I will try to break down as best as I can. And hopefully I also won't mess it up. Well, I could body slam. That is an option. Alright, so step 1, you slide spin them. And that's the skip.
Okay.
Yeah. For some reason, the slide spin hits Engine twice, and for some reason, if you hit him twice, it just completely skips the entire attacking phase.
Why are these games always so broken? Like, there's always something.
Yeah, I don't know, but this is such a great skip because otherwise this fight would be obscenely long. I want to say this skip saves at least a minute and a half. I don't think anybody's ever timed it because it's like why to even bother? We know it saves a shit ton. It's kind of like the box dupe in Cold Hard Crash and Crash 2. Nobody really timed it because we all knew it was faster anyway.
I guess this is kind of funny because like in the previous Crash title in the Insane trilogy, you could if you got behind that boss and like spun it, you would be able to do like 2 damage instead of 1. And it's just like, why?
Oh yeah, Koala Kong in Crash 1.
Yep.
I guess I also didn't really talk about the way I'm moving on the map and the fact that I'm not moving on the map. So this game has a level select menu that you can either access by pausing and then choosing level stats, or by just pressing whatever the equivalent of like the select button is, or for the DualShock 4 it's the touchpad. All right, I got a snipe there. That's a bit okay. That one is a bit random because if the enemy locks onto the wrong thing, then I can snipe the arrow crate and then lock myself out of that crate, and then I have to restart the level. But yeah, using the level select menu to choose levels is a lot faster than actually moving on the map, especially because the menuing is very, very quick. And another thing that is exclusive to the PC version is that on the console version, when you switch to a new dimension or a new hub, you actually can't pick the first level of that on the level stats screen, and you have to enter another level first before you're able to do that. So on console, you'll see either they'll enter another level and then immediately go into the next level, or they'll just ride the rail. But on PC, you can just pick the next level immediately, which is one of the things that's like a minor time save on the PC version.
That is pretty nice. Is there anything such as like mouse strats, like somebody using their mouse for anything?
In this category, not really. In the flashback tapes categories, I actually do use the mouse to menu through the flashback tape screen, because there are some points where I feel like it probably saves like a second or two. But there's not too much crazy menuing in this game. Alright, I didn't want to take that hit there, but it's not the biggest deal. It just means I need to do the bonus a little slower. And I managed to snipe that enemy into the TNT, which is great.
Yeah.
The way enemies like the way sniping in this game works is interesting, because it's not like the original games where the enemies follow like a set trajectory, and then if they happen to hit something, it takes them with it. The enemies will like lock onto things if they're near it. Alright, so if I had 2 masks here, I would also damage abuse on this nitro, but I lost one of them, so I'm just gonna have to backtrack for it.
What was it like having the developers of this game? They reacted to your speedrun, didn't they?
Yeah, they reacted to the full game run I did, which was the 90% record at the time, and then they also reacted to, before that, they reacted to my runs of the demo as well. And I honestly thought that was really cool. I do know that, like, shortly after the next-gen version came out and we found out a bunch of the skips had been patched, there was, like, I saw a lot of negative sentiment towards the Des React, because they were like, oh, they only watched it so they could find out what to patch out. And I didn't really agree with that mindset, because on one hand, if that was the only reason they were doing that, wouldn't they have patched everything I did out?
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I'm willing to believe, given the way they reacted in the video, because they seem to be having a good time with it, I'm willing to bet it was like an Activision decision to patch all that stuff out. But like, regardless, like, it still exists on the... Wow, I'm short on fruit. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I need to
no
get
worries.
a few more fruit. Yeah, so I usually jump on these 2 crates, and I just didn't do that, but that should be fine. Yeah, this is one of the few levels that is pretty starved on 1 per fruit. But yeah, like, I feel like, especially considering the fact that the PC version didn't patch out any of the skips, and they never patched anything out of the PS4 version, I'm willing to bet it was like an Activision or like higher up decision where like, well, the newer next-gen version has to be pristine and pure, and you know, we can't have a broken game sold, because for some reason a game being broken somehow makes it bad according to some people.
Do you ever feel like maybe it's the QA testers that are looking up the speedruns and then being like, yo, look at what we found?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if they still have like their jobs after the fact of like the game release. I'm just like, always question this.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so this is the first new character we're playing as, and this is, as you find out when you beat the level, but they also advertised it before the game came out, this is an alternate dimension of Tana, who is Crash's girlfriend from the first game. Her kit is a lot more basic than Crash and Coco's, and casually, I think she's fine. Speed-wise, I find her to be incredibly boring. Mostly because, like, I don't really have a problem with like basicness in a character's kit, otherwise I probably wouldn't enjoy Crash 1 as much as I do. But the thing with Tana is that her entire kit actually slows her down. Everything aside from running and single jumping causes her to lose momentum. So like double jumping, this grapple, her kick attack, they all slow her down. So like the key to going faster with Tana is to do as little as possible with her, and I just don't find that particularly interesting compared to the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they would do that differently, but momentum's like huge in these games.
Yeah. That being said, she does still have some cool stuff. Like you can see, she has these wall jump sections, and you're supposed to, you know, jump 2 or 3 times. But on every single one of them, I use an enemy or just double jump to skip the first wall jump. So she's not devoid of cool tricks. It's just that compared to the rest of the, like compared to a game where there's a lot of sick things going on, she's pretty all right. Oh, I actually got a double snipe on that enemy.
That's pretty cool. The snipes are always cool. They remind me of in the Spyro Reignited trilogy, you could hit the fodder, and if they hit an enemy, they would kill them. So those were always fun to go for.
Eyes on target.
Yeah, this is actually one of the most straightforward levels in the game. There's nothing really hidden in it either.
And there's all the clear gems. It's satisfying seeing that every time, honestly.
There is also something in the game called the Insanely Perfect Relic, which you get for essentially Crash 1ing the level. You break every box and don't die. They're required for full completion, so in the 106% run, you actually do need them. Obviously, you don't need them for this, but if you beat a level, the prompt shows up, says you got the Insanely Perfect Relic. And on the console version, that loses about a second to a second and a half, which is not enough time to make it worth like just throwing yourself into a pit in every level. But on the PC version, all of the like menu pop-ups are like really fast to close. Alright, so that's a little trick I learned yesterday. Yeah, so the thing with the alternate characters is that unlocking them also unlocks what's called alternate timeline levels. So they're basically levels I've already done, but from the perspective of a different character. So you'll see that when I finish playing as Tana here, we're gonna go back to a level that already happened. And they're like slightly different, like there's different crate placements and stuff, but you do end up going back to playing as Crash and Coco for what can be either a small amount of time or like a good chunk of the previous level. So like the reaction to these levels has been pretty mixed. The general consensus is that the part where you play as the alternate characters is really cool, but they should have fleshed that out instead of being like, well, you play as this character for a bit of time and then you go back to a level you've already done, which I honestly agree with that sentiment. In the speedrun, it kind of varies. Like some of the levels, the crate placements are varied enough where it does feel like a completely different level, and then there are some levels where they feel just functionally completely identical. But casually, I definitely understand why it's not different enough to justify it.
Do you feel like in any way this game was rushed, or think it came out on time?
It's hard to say because like there was like a reveal that there was a lot of cut content, which, as I've seen from how people react to Crash to Insanity, a lot of cut content equals the game was rushed. I can't believe they've done this. But at the same time, like there's so much there's still so much quality and like love in this game that I don't know, like even if they had to cut a lot of things out, I don't even know if I want to say it was rushed.
Because, I mean, how many hours did it take your casual playthrough to completely 100% it? Because I know some people were taking, like, I think 40 hours even.
I stopped at 104% and didn't go back to it until, like, right before the PC release came out. So casually, it took me several months to 106 this.
See, guys, so much content. A person who speedruns this professionally, you know, it takes them months, so a lot of content in it.
Yeah, so as you can see, this is a level we've already done. This was Hit the Road. It's just the crate placements are a little different. This is one of the ones where it really doesn't change all that much, just because you do the ball section, which is just running away. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, at least as I understand it, most games have a lot of cut content. It's just that a lot of times it's not always the most public. This game had an art book, which is where like a lot of the concept arts were revealed.
Oh, I actually remember that because, I don't know, whenever this game was first like kind of getting released, of course I was on all the YouTube channels that were covering any type of content that would come out, and those art books are really nice actually.
Yeah, it's just very easy for stuff to be like misconstrued as, oh, all this stuff was cut, I can't believe the game got rushed. Whereas like this game, to me, it doesn't, like if they had never revealed all that concept art, I would never be able to tell that like this game had so much cut out of it. Like a game to me that feels rushed, I feel like the N.SANTY trilogy was rushed, which it's still good, but it definitely has like its rough edges. And then like even Crash to Insanity being called rushed is a bit misleading. In the last year, yes, it was rushed, but that's because in the last year they reset the development. The game had been worked on for 2 years at that point, and the third year they just reset everything. So I feel like even calling that game rushed is a bit misleading. It just had a very chaotic development. But anyway, this is a level that I personally really like, aside from like some parts of it. This is Jetboard Jetty. There is a really, really cool skip in this level that was, for the longest time, like the holy grail of Crash skips. Like it was like, when the game came out, it was the skip where we were like, okay, we want this skip, we need this skip to happen. But like nobody could figure out how to make it happen. So I and then like 2 or 3 other people eventually said like, okay, I'm gonna put a bounty on this. If someone finds this skip, I will give them $100. And then I told Trihex that, because Trihex has actually been following this game a bit, and he matched it, so that was another $100. And then Rex also matched it, so that was there was a $300 bounty on this skip. And then it was found shortly before the PS5 release by a user named Supersphere, who is like he's a regular in a lot of in a lot of chats. He's a regular in mine. And it was like a collaborative effort. I think Depcow and Atelier were also like messing around with a trick they found, and then Supersphere messed with it and found a way to do the skip, and just like that, we found it.
So
yeah, most of this level is actually an auto
or did it already happen and I wasn't like paying attention?
It's at the very end of the level. Yeah, I intentionally damage abused on those nitros because the skip involves sort of entering a zombie state. So like if you know Crash to Insanity, you kind of get a vibe of it, but it's not really the same thing. It's more just to do the trick. I have to trick the game into thinking I'm dead. Yeah, the skip is at the very end of the level.
Wow, these seem to have a lot more control than in the previous Crash games.
Yeah, the jetboard is very weird in this game. Oh, like there's only 3 vehicles in this game, and they control very non-intuitive compared to the OG games. But when you learn how to control them, they do handle a lot better, I feel. The key is that in the original games, holding forward didn't really do much for like, pull or anything, so you would like veer hard left and hard right. But in these games, you actually want to hold forward, and then kind of just, instead of going hard left and hard right, you kind of want to like arc your angle on your analog stick, and it gives you a lot more control. And I think that's where a lot of people get thrown off when they first play this, where like they try to just go left and right, and then they're flying all over the place, and they're like, oh, I can't control this, it's so terrible. And admittedly, I thought that too at first, so I'm not like innocent of this. But it's one of those things that when you learn it, it actually becomes pretty easy to control.
There's another thing we haven't even talked about, which is the circle underneath you. Does that help you out at all?
Oh yeah, I think it was an amazing addition. It's essentially because I think the shadow in the older Crash games is like one of the most useful things you can use to gauge your depth perception and such. And the ring is just the shadow, but much more noticeable. So I really like that they did that, because again, with like how tricky a lot of this platforming can be, it would be really awful to have to do it without the ring. All right, so we're coming up to the skip. So this is actually the only level in the game that has a mini boss, and the skip is to just not do that fight. Alright, so this is the only part of the level I really don't like, because like a lot of these placements are very annoying, and the idea is that you have to guide the rats into the mines, but if you're not, like, if the cycle isn't lined up well, it's very hard to actually do that. Alright, I do have a recrate. So I'm actually going to drop to 30 FPS for this, because I think the lower the frame rate, this actually becomes a lot easier. Right, so this is Louise. Isn't she beautiful? And if you pause buffer...
You're behind it?
Yep. So basically, the reason this is easier at lower frame rates is because the input we're trying to get, as far as we know, is frame perfect. But basically, if you pause on the frame that you die, and the visual cue for that is the explosion of the jetboard, if you pause on the frame you die, you don't lose the ability to pause. So you basically, you just buffer the shit out of pausing while you turbo into Luis's tentacle, and then if you get the pause on the death, you can press triangle, which starts the death animation, or the respawn animation rather, and then while that's happening, you can do a slide spin, and you just enter this zombie state where you're floating, and then you can use that to just float behind Luis, and then with a body slam, you just walk to the end of the level.
Gee.
I want to say, like, optimally, it probably saves... I want to say it could save 30 to 40 seconds, but given the amount of factors involved, it's usually more in, like, the 15 to 20 range. But it's still, like, it's pretty easy to do at 30 FPS, so I absolutely think it's worth doing.
So do you want to explain this little gimmick that's going on here?
Yep, so this is the second Quantum Mask. This is Akano. And if you played Crash 3, then you may recognize this as being very similar to the Death Tornado Spin. It's essentially an infinite Death Tornado Spin that you can trigger at will. I don't want to constantly be using it, though, because it does slow you down to use it. But essentially, it is exactly, like, it's just a very ramped up Death Tornado Spin from Crash 3. And this was the mask where, like, when people first messed with it when the game came out, everybody collectively pointed at it and said, this is going to be broken. And we will definitely see elements of that. Yeah.
Because I actually have, during the development of the speedrun, I looked into it, and this seemed to be used a lot in the early strats that were discovered.
Yeah, this is, this mask is responsible for, a lot of the skips in any percent.
you know, omelets, eggs, superpowered potions, marsupial. I mean, other animals.
So this is another bonus run where we're gonna see a bit of a sequence break. Or I can crouch and die to the TNT somehow. I don't know why that one happens. I don't know why crouching somehow makes the TNT explode, but it does.
What?
Yeah, so let's try that again, slower, I guess. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
So you're supposed to like use those TNTs, but I'm just gonna use the edge of the bonus platform to do this. And it saves time on waiting on the TNTs and also makes the end of the level, or the end of the bonus, way less dangerous. Because then I don't have to worry about getting crushed by these when they're flying up and down. So the rest of this level is pretty straightforward. Oh, so yeah. So there's these flame crates that I guess I haven't really mentioned
Yeah, I guess
too
we
much.
haven't.
I'm not the biggest fan of them, honestly. Especially in a speedrun setting where they just force you to wait a lot. And they're like the only cycle in this game that I want to say is like kind of... They're like sort of global in the sense that I don't think they actually start until you enter the level, but they don't reset when you die. So cycles with the flame crates are not truly inconsistent. Wow, I missed the detonator.
Oh no.
You know, guys, I've never done that. So I really like this level. Let's do it again.
Hell yeah. No one saw that.
Yeah, no. I didn't.
We're
I was just taking a
doing
break.
one of those things where you have to replay the level.
Yeah, that was. So that is something that I've always been like. I'm always afraid that one day I'm just gonna like somehow completely miss the nitro detonator. And there we
Luckily
go.
it happened in a
I did it
marathon
live. Yeah, live on Speedrun Saturdays.
Only here, guys, will runners make mistakes like that.
That's not even the level where I would expect that to happen. I was right in front of it, so I'm very shocked I didn't hit it. It's okay. This level is really cool. Look, guys, it's based on Japan.
Nice. This is a real city in Japan that you can go visit.
Yeah. It has stone lions and everything,
Yeah.
and quantum masks. So in the meantime, how is everybody's day?
I'm doing pretty good myself.
Yeah, I was doing pretty all right until about 30 seconds ago.
Oh, you actually still have the circle on under like while this is all going. So that's actually extremely helpful.
Yeah, I do really like the ring a lot.
Whenever you're using that in the air, you probably help to get like consistent setups. Oh, Ruh, you're doing really well. Oh, nice. I was really wondering about you, man.
Yeah. When Ruh's doing well, I'm doing well.
Yeah. With his moral support, I'm sure no other mistakes will be happening for the rest of the run.
Yeah. You know, theoretically, wow, I did okay. just don't crouch.
All right, Ruh, you're banned.
Yeah. The funny thing is that theoretically, if the rest of this run was perfect, it could still world record by like 3 minutes. But I'm not gonna bank on that. Actually, this ties into a PSA I made on Twitter 2 days ago, where I did a resetless run after not playing this game or not running this category for like 2 weeks because I was focusing on the OG games to prep for the quadfecta I was doing.
I can imagine the tweet already. Normalize no reset runs. Am I around the ball?
Sort of. It was. So when people learn this game, there's 2 things they're afraid of. One, just how much there is in it, because this is a 3-hour category that's very long by Crash standards. It's not really long by a lot of other standards, because Kingdom Hearts games are that long normally, or like Spyro 3's 117 is like the same length. But like for Crash games, that's a pretty long run. So like the length of it, I can understand that being very daunting, and there's a lot to learn. But I see a lot of people who are genuinely terrified of like, oh, what if I die 4 times? I'll have to reset the level and the run is just dead. It's ruined. I hate it. So in that run, there's a level later on. I'm gonna do this very slowly. Okay.
Nice.
There's a level later in this run that called Crash Landed that is a very long level. I died 4 times halfway through it and had to reset the level 4 minutes in. And I still got a sub 3-hour time. That was like only 2 minutes slower than the second place time, which is also the console record. So I was like, if I can lose 4 minutes in one level and do that, nobody should be afraid. And it's like, maybe it's because I've run like Crash to Insanity where every mistake is like punishing as hell, but like genuinely large time losses like that just do not scare me anymore. So the real irony of the level that I had to reset is that it is followed by an alternate timeline version of that level.
Yeah, of
so
course.
essentially I'm doing the level 3 times. Also, this is the level that makes us realize that Tana's dialogue is not really the best. Because kawaii, which apparently she thinks is pronounced the same as Hawaii, but I can't really fault her because I'm not really sure how to pronounce it either. But apparently that's wrong.
Oh, yeah. Don't ask me, man. That's how I would have said it.
Yeah, Tana's dialogue in her levels is very memed on. Alright, so I know you guys just really like this level, and I like it too, so let's do it for a 3rd time.
Oh,
Yeah, this is one of the timeline levels where it's like it's on the longer side because it takes you pretty early into the level. The box placements are like pretty different, so like it doesn't feel exactly the same, but this one is still pretty similar.
How much do you have to play as? Are there any other characters outside of these 3?
Yeah, there's 4 characters. Well, if you count Crash and Coco as one character,
Oh yeah,
there's 4
what am
characters
I
total.
thinking? There's Cortex. Yeah.
Yeah. And every alternate character I believe you play as 4 times in the run. They each have 3 alternate timeline levels, but then they also have their introductory level. And then the second to last hub, there's 1 level each where you play as each of them. So I think it's 4 times for each character. So yeah, we will see Tana 1 more time after this, because this will be our 3rd time playing as her. Actually, wait. No, you might play with them 5 times then. Hold on, let me do math in my head real quick. So this is the 3rd time playing as Tana, so I think that you play as them 5 times each. Yeah. Yeah, because there's 3 alternate timeline levels. There's the introductory level, and then there's the level in the second to last hub. So yeah, there's 5 for each. By the way, guys, I have a degree in math, so that's why I can't do math.
Yeah, I love the movement with this spin. Cruising across the levels.
Yeah, the cool thing about the Quantum Mass is that all of them have really cool speed tech. So we'll definitely be seeing a lot of it.
I feel like the levels are built really well around the mechanics for each map.
Yeah, it is like another benefit of them compared to like, you know, the power-ups in Crash 3. The Death Tornado Spin notoriously breaks the entire later half of Crash 3 and makes it very trivial. So by restricting the Quantum Masks to their specific sections of the level, you can design that part of the level around it without breaking the rest of the game. Alright, so this is Dragon On. This level actually has the blue gem. And the way you get the blue gem in this game is the same way you get it in Crash 2, which is to beat the level without breaking any crates. So you might be asking yourself, why the hell is he breaking crates?
Why the hell is he breaking crates?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It'll all be made clear very soon. So I simultaneously love and hate this level because design-wise, I think the level is really cool.
This is
But
a
I also
really dope
think
level.
Yeah, I also it is an extremely annoying level in the speedrun, especially in any percent. I was on the like Dragon On hate train when I was grinding any percent like well before anybody else, and then like recently people were like, "Oh yeah, Dragon On's the worst." I'm just like, I've been saying this since like November, guys. Yeah, so a key here to pay attention is that when you bounce off of a crate and then trigger a Kano, you get a very big boost in height. And that will be very important. Also, the dialogue is great.
So why is it sometimes you collect the tapes, but other times you don't?
It's just on the way.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I grab it, it's just because there's no point in walking around it. Alright. Tried to do a bounce off of that crate while also breaking it.
Ooh.
It didn't work. Alright, so actually, yeah, I'll just do this.
Beautiful.
I was debating if I wanted to save that mask just to be safe, but the rest of this level hopefully won't bother me too much. I do have to be a bit more careful in this level because I'm going to do something in this that does require a death abuse, so I have to be very careful. The most annoying thing about these levels is the dragon cycles.
Yeah. Is this the level that has the Spyro float in it?
No, that's 2 levels from now. So there will be another level after this, and then a boss fight, and then I'll have the Spyro float.
Which basically confirms Spyro 4, like 100%.
All right, I already messed this up. Let's see if I can do it this way.
What the?
All right, backup plan.
Okay.
Yep. So you can use a Kano go out of bounds, and then it's really cool. We're behind the building, guys, and
Okay.
they hide the blue gem underground.
Oh, and there is a death plane. Okay, that's useful.
Yeah. So I guess
What the
yeah,
heck?
they hide the blue gem under the floor of the level, and then if you reach the end of the level with no crate, it spawns above the level. And that skip was found completely by accident. There was a YouTuber named Trobotac who was just messing around with Akano in the level, found that he could land on like an invisible ledge there, and he got behind the level and then was just like messing around and grabbed the blue gem, and we were like, well, that's a 2.5 minute time save.
So that you're not supposed to access that left area there because the end of the level is right before it. Is that why you're able? It's just no collision there, I guess.
Yeah. So they actually tried to patch that out on next gen. They put a giant invisible wall at the part where I fell down.
It's always the invisible walls.
But there's a tech on the console version that is actually the only thing they patched out of PC, which is called the Infinite Akano Jump, or Crispy Tacos also calls it the Slam Jump, where if you trigger Akano and body slam at the same time, you actually get a boost in the air that doesn't count as a jump, so naturally you can do it infinitely. And you can use the infinite jump to get over the invisible wall. So it's like a bit slower, but it's still possible on PS5.
Oh my god.
But on PC, I can just do that.
And then they came back with a bigger invisible wall.
God, I hope not. That's the thing, it's like every skip they patched out was one that they just like threw an invisible wall onto. So it's kind of just become a meme in the community. It's just like playing completely irrelevant game or doing like a real life thing, and it's like, oh, Toys for Bob's just gonna slap an invisible wall on it. I think the best example of it was Demos, who's another top any percent runner. He made a tweet where it's like, when I come home from work, I consider using the side door to my garage to enter instead of the front door, and I think it'll save a few seconds, but I'm afraid if I start doing it, Toys for Bob will just put an invisible wall on it.
Oh no.
And then I think my response was, I just got a cat like shortly after this game came out, and like she's just now started to warm up to me.
I noticed it in the background before.
Yeah, you've probably seen her walking around. Hold on. Alright, so that checkpoint for some reason can hurt you. I think it has something to do with the ghost hitbox right next to it. So I play a guessing game where it's like, will the checkpoint be hostile today? Today it was not hostile. But anyway, back to the cat.
Back to the cat.
I responded to his tweet with one where like, my cat likes to like lay on the floor and I don't want to bother her, so I try to like walk around to get into my bed, but I'm afraid that if I do that, Toys for Bob will start, we'll patch an invisible wall and I'll just have to fight my cat. Alright. So that was like an offshoot that like only has the hidden gem. That's probably the closest this game gets to like a death route. But there's actually a way to skip that. Like later in the level you can go like massively out of bounds, and then while you're out of bounds you can just like grab the gem and then die. But the setup it takes to do it, which was found by DepCal like a week ago, it doesn't really save any time. Like optimally it might save like a second or two, and right now I'm at the point where like that's not really worth it, considering it's not the easiest thing in the world. So I'm actually going to Death Abuse here. That's just to make this cycle nicer. Because it makes it so that by the time I finish breaking all those crates, this moving platform is set up. And it also makes all of the later ones line up a lot better as well.
Yeah, these level designs are so cool. I'm playing this game like basically when we get done with the stream, probably.
I would absolutely recommend it. Like every time someone asks me if I would recommend Crash 4 to them, my response is generally yes. I would absolutely recommend it as long as you're okay with playing a game that is not easy. Because like if you're someone who just like wants to like just casually like romp through the game and like don't really want a real challenge, then this is not the game for you.
This game will make you learn.
If you genuinely enjoy like, you know, trial and error, figuring out what you're doing wrong and figure out how to like solve it, I think this game is incredible.
Chat, can we just all appreciate that movement right there? It's so cool just going through all there, getting the boxes on the way. This is what I like about this category.
Yeah. Like, this game is very blessed because, like, any percent in Crash, I feel tends to be not really too interesting compared to completion categories. And Crash 4 very, like, luckily has a very, very cool any percent category, and if you guys haven't seen any percent, I would absolutely recommend watching it. It's got so many skips and so many like crazy sequence breaks. There's actually one in that level where at the beginning of that auto scroller section you actually get onto the ceiling and just fly to the end of the level. Like, so there's a lot of cool skips that I'm not showing off because I can't do them in this category, but like this category is also still just really cool because it's a lot of movement, it's a lot of box optimization. So it's unlike like a lot of other times where like the any percent category of like a Crash game, like both versions of Crash 2 I feel are hit pretty hard by this, where like there's 100% and then there's any percent, which is the less cool 100%. This game doesn't really feel like that. Any percent and all clear gems are two completely different categories, and I think that's really awesome because I personally got really, really frustrated with any percent and stopped running it months ago. But then, like, I properly learned this category after trying a super scuffed run and deciding I don't like this. But then, like, I actually learned it, and I think this category is incredible. So,
yo, what kind of pre-workout is he taking? This is,
I think it's like drugs or something. But yeah, this is probably like, this is like really similar to how you fight Brio in Crash 1. Like you dodge things, you hit him with the blobs, and then he turns into the Hulk.
You're telling me that N Brio is not natty? Okay.
So there's a little weird quirk in this fight that makes it faster. It's if you're supposed to knock him to the edge with Akano, but if you knock him to the edge and then immediately phase out of Akano, for some reason it hits him again and it just knocks him off. And for beating Brio, you were rewarded with extra padding because this is the point where you unlock the inverted levels. So thankfully we don't have to do those in this category because that would essentially just be all clear gems again. That's also why the category is called all clear gems, because the game actually makes a distinction between clear gems and inverted gems. Otherwise we would have called the category all normal gems. But But yeah, because the name isn't completely, it's like not most intuitive. Like sometimes like people come in and be like, oh, so do you do the inverted levels also? They have clear gems, and I just have to be like, no, they're not actually called clear gems, they're called inverted gems, so this is just all the normal levels.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this level is offbeat, and this is the level with the spiral float. So casually, this is a very, very loved level. Like this is generally a pick for like one of the most popular levels in the game because it's just so aesthetically amazing. In the speedrun, this is one of the most hated levels just because of the way cycles work in it. So cycles in this level are actually in sync with the song, which is really cool when you think about it, because they're like, oh, all of the hazards are they're in sync with the song. And then you realize that if you make any minor mistake, everything can get thrown off. So getting an optimal off balance or offbeat is very, very difficult.
And what would happen that would force, like, make that happen? I guess, like, what kind of mistakes would you have to make? Just being slow.
Yeah, if I just like make a movement error, if I die.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the perspective I put in for like how hard it is to optimize this level is that early on when the game was released, Dustiel was making a bunch of strat videos for level by level on how to do them like very fast. All of the videos are privated now, but I luckily looked at all the ones he had made before he made them private, so a lot of that carried over into how I've played the category. But he skipped offbeat because if I remember how he said it, he said that no video could properly convey how to do this level optimally. Oh, yep. This is not a fun bonus.
I was scared for you a little bit there.
Yeah, the most annoying thing about that bonus is that because it is a backtracking one, if you die, it's pretty bad time loss.
And if you get squeezed in this game, or if you just fall off, that your mask isn't going to protect you.
Yeah. I guess one thing I haven't really talked about either is the way I do spin bouncing in this game. So this game does actually have spin bouncing in a similar sense to like how Crash 1 through 3 on the PS1 have it, where you can, if you spin properly on a crate, you can bounce off of it as it breaks. I find it to be really precise, and also like it feels like it varies depending on which crate you're doing it off of. Like some crates are like easier to spin bounce for some reason.
His movement.
Alright, that guy wanted to not go up for some reason. But there is a very easy way to do like a pseudo spin bounce, which is what I've been doing the whole time, which is as long as I haven't burned my double jump yet, I can spin on a crate and then as I'm landing on it, spin and then immediately double jump. So I break through the crate, but then the double jump comes out immediately and it's essentially a spin bounce. So that's what I use to break a lot of these crates really quickly. Yeah, this is a 1 minute rail section, and this is in a lot of the N% runners chats and also my own chat.
Spyro!
This is the point where also Ripperoo in the background. Yeah, this is the point where people like to spam the BTTV emote music makes you lose control, which is just like the dancing triangle.
Yeah.
Alternately, music makes you lose the run because this level's a notorious run killer.
Just cruising through here.
Yep. This is one of the longer rails, just because there's two of them back to back. So, I don't think it was noticeable on the screen because it would be my monitor, but I'm actually very glad to be out of that level because I was experiencing a lot of screen tearing.
Oof.
Despite the fact that I have FreeSync on my monitor, so that was interesting. But yeah, now we're coming up to another alternate character, and this is my favorite of the bunch.
Someone from the chat asked, how long did it take you to learn this run?
2 weeks. I took the Spyro 3 117 approach that I've seen a lot of runners of that game do, where they break it down into chunks. So like I've seen people do like like evening lake runs of Spyro 3. So I did that. I broke the game down into 3 subsections, where it's like the first 4 hubs, and then the next 3 hubs, and then the last 3 hubs. And I got consistent at all of them, and then I put them all together into a single run, and that took about 2 weeks to do.
Yeah, that's usually how I approach my speed games as well.
Yeah, I think that was like hugely beneficial, because the first time I tried to learn this, I just went through every level like once, and I was like, okay, let's do a 3-hour run, and then it was a disaster.
Yep.
And I implore anybody who wants to seriously learn this category to learn it that way. Yeah, but this is Dingodile.
Okay.
This character is really cool. He is a bit more on the basic side, kind of like Tana, but unlike Tana, he doesn't really have anything that slows him down, except for this hover like might be a little bit of a slowdown. But he has a hover, so like there's a lot of corner cuts you can do. That was actually like a minor skip. I like squeezed through an invisible wall there. It only saves like a second or two because I still have the backtrack for those crates, but it saves walking through the diner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Dingo has this this vacuum that lets him hover, and it also lets him like suck in like TNT barrels and shoot them at people. There's a lot of cool things you can do with them. This level in particular is interesting, where you're supposed to like use the explosives and throw them at these walls and stuff, but a lot of them you can just jump on them like I'm doing.
Are we gonna see any like out of bounds skips or anything with them?
There was like near the diner, I did actually do one that was technically out of bounds, but it was like very hard to tell because it's such a minor one. We'll see like some small stuff. Yeah, I think largely like among like most of the people who've played this game, wow, okay, when like asked like who's your favorite alternate character, Dingodile is generally like the #1 pick. I do think they did them really well.
Yeah, he kind of just flows. You don't really have to stop for anything at all.
Yeah, that's what I love about him. It's like, again, like he's a very basic character, but like his entire kit flows so well, and it's really fun to optimize. And it's like, that's a contrast to Tana, where like the optimization with her is doing as little as you can, which is like, to me, is just not very interesting. I don't know why I picked up the barrel a 3rd time. I didn't need it. So that TNT barrel I just picked up, for some reason, sometimes won't spawn in, which doesn't really matter too much because I can just grab the TNT that the bat is carrying.
That's weird though, that sometimes it just doesn't spawn in.
Yeah. It's better when it does spawn in, because then I can just use it to snipe the TNT off of the bat. Alright, so I'm going to do a jump here that lets me skip breaking this bat. Ooh. Another thing, like you're supposed to throw the explosive into the vats to destroy them, but in this level, and only in this level, Dingodile can just attack them normally and break them. Like in no other level can you do that. I also really like this song, which is like, this is kind of like Dingodile's like leitmotif for the game, and I just like it because it's very bouncy. So this section is a bit weird. I try to like, oh, of course it goes incredibly.
Oh,
it never goes this well in like an actual run. Like sniping the bats like that is not. Did I miss a crate?
I
don't remember missing one. Oh, a bat didn't drop a TNT. Let's see if I can go back for that. Yeah, I saw in chat. How far back was it? Like, is it something I could reasonably go back to, or should I reset the level?
not that much apparently.
Okay, yeah, I see it. That's weird. That one usually drops it. See, chat's got my back. I actually had to clarify a rule in my chat a few weeks ago because it's like, you know, I, like many other streamers, has a no backseat gaming rule because like who the hell wants to listen to that? But like I have clarified that like if I'm doing a run and you see me miss something and you know it's something I'm not supposed to skip, it's like please tell me.
I pretty much limit that too. It's like, do you run the game? Yes or no. If you don't, shut up.
It's either do you run the game or do you watch me run it enough to know that I'm not supposed to miss
that's
that.
also fair. If they truly
Like,
do watch it enough.
Like the moment I clarified it was I was on a run and I got to the end of a level and I missed it, and someone in the chat was like, "Oh yeah, you missed it like at the beginning of like this section here." And I was like, "So why didn't you tell me at that point?" Like I was like, either tell me at the moment I miss it or don't tell me at all, because telling me well after the fact is not going to help anybody.
Or did you make the game?
Got a feeling I'm not the bad
Fair enough.
But yeah, like so yeah, like I ended up clarifying that if it's something related to the run and telling me we'll save the run, then please tell me. Yeah, so now that we've unlocked Dingo Dial, yep, yeah, quote unquote hidden gem. We go back to the pirate hub to do this level that just unlocked. This is probably the most notorious example of an alternate timeline where you play as the alternate character for about 30 seconds and then play the entirety of a level you've already done.
You smell good enough to eat. Yeah.
So I hope you guys really like Dingo.
Rip those guys too.
Yeah, so this was like real like I want to say a good like 30 minutes ago we did this level. That being said, this is one of the ones where like the box placement is pretty different, so it doesn't feel entirely identical.
Like it because,
also,
okay, go ahead.
I call this level Flame Crate Simulator, as you can see.
I see. Alright.
Yeah, this level also has what is, in my opinion, the hardest bonus in the game casually. Just because to do this bonus cleanly, you either have to be very, very precise or you have to have knowledge of the slide spin jumps that I'm doing, which I would not expect a casual player to know. Because normal slide jumping in this game actually slows you down, which again I think was the design choice and it works with the game. So I don't really mind it because I like that it makes the slide jump unique, as opposed to like in some other Crash games where the slide jump is just like extra in comparison to the double jump. Yeah, this part is
you made that look pretty
fun.
easy, but then yeah, when you do.
Yeah, but it's like you see, like I'm doing slide spin jumps, and then I also know that if you spin on an arrow crate as you're landing on it, you don't get the bounce. Which again, I would not expect a casual player to know that. So like that bonus level is extremely rough when you're just playing the game casually. So yeah, the Flame Crate Simulator.
What's the reason that you didn't need the crate, like the other crate that was in that area before, right after you left the bonus level?
It's because it was on top of the Nitro.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So this game
it's
is,
obvious once you say it, and for some reason I didn't think of that.
Yeah, it's because like if you've only played like the PS1 games, you have to break crates that are next to Nitros because those games just deload the Nitros when you hit the detonator. But then like every Crash game afterwards, the Nitros will actually legitimately blow up, like explode and take the crates that are next to them with it.
All right, what do we got going on next?
Next we have a level that... So I feel like Jetboard Jetty is the first level that's like a pretty significant difficulty spike, and then this is the second level that's a pretty significant difficulty spike. This is Run It By You. Also, at the beginning of the level, you can see the yellow jump right way out in the background. This level also introduces countdown crates, where you trigger them and then you have to break them in a certain amount of time before they despawn. Yep, the yellow gem is just over that 2x2 stack there. And And then at this point I should have 29 crates after breaking these. I do, which means we're good. Yeah, this opening section does not have the kindest cycles, so I'm gonna take it.
No, not at all. It seems.
This level is also, it's very long and it is not easy.
Nice.
I have to backtrack for these. This level is like one of the most like demanding levels, processing wise. So
Oh my
again,
god.
I'm getting quite a lot of screen tearing, and it might even be, you might even be able to see it in the gameplay. For some reason, this level like a lot of this game actually does a pretty good job of deloading things that are like not anywhere close to you. But for some reason, this level everything just gets loaded in at once. So the entire level is being processed out at once. And it's a very demanding level processor wise because of that. They had a shout out to the G Wiz bonus from Crash 3 with that puzzle there.
It's interesting how they actually handled the original Crash games by like anything that you don't see on screen is literally deloaded.
Yeah, which is great because it's probably part of the reason that the loads in those games were so fast. And it's probably why like on the initial release the loads of N.SANTY Trilogy were so slow, because they didn't do that. They loaded the entire level in. And then I don't know what voodoo magic they did to fix the N.SANTY Trilogy loads, but they figured it out. So this is probably like the most infamous hidden gem, because it's so hard to find even when you
Wow.
even when you use the like you can use the right analog stick to shift the camera a bit, and even when you do that, it is a pain in the ass to find that. There's an exclamation crate hidden behind the barrels next to that checkpoint, so you're supposed to use that to spawn in like iron crates below it, but it's faster to just break the checkpoint, grab the gem, and then death of use. But yeah, that is one of the two like hidden gems that I would say is a little on the ridiculous side. And then the next one, the other one is in the level after this. Alright, so we're actually coming up to one of my favorite NPCs in this game, which is an armadillo who runs a food truck. And I like the noises he makes, because every time he gets blocked off by like a wall of TNTs, he points at it with a look of genuine shock, and then he makes a random sound effect, and one of them is him just going, "Nyeh." See if he says it. No, he didn't do it this time. But we'll see him again, so we still got like 2 or 3 chances for him to make that noise. I saw someone in chat say worst Crash level ever, and I have to say you've never played Coral Canyon in Wrath of Cortex, son. That is the worst Crash level ever. I actually like this level. I think this level's pretty good.
So if you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure you drop a like if you're watching on YouTube. Also, make sure you go check out our runner, Rico _ KSB, if you're looking that up on Twitch. Doing a great job so far.
It's also my YouTube channel as well. It's just everywhere on social media. It's just Rico _ KSB.
So go follow this man if you enjoy some Crash content. He plays all the games.
I do. I was actually thinking about, I do think I've run every game in the series that is strictly a platformer. So like discounted like Titans and Mind Over Mutant, which I would actually like to learn Mind Over Mutant eventually. But like all of the like the original games, Wrath of Cortex, Twin Sanity, the 2 GBA games, and then all of the HD era games, I've done runs of all of them.
I was looking at your past broadcasts. You nearly stream every day, don't you?
Yeah, especially like since the pandemic's been going on. So like my other hobbies were Yu-Gi-Oh and Smash, and both of them are essentially shut down right now, and I don't like playing them online. So like yeah, I've basically been streaming every day.
Right then. Need a hand.
I also see in chat the question is, what's the current record? The current record is 248.22 by me. Alright, so we got another timeline level where we're playing as Dingo Dow, which is the alternate timeline of the level we just did.
It's funny because you have splits up right now. I was not expecting you to be comparing to your world record for today's
I always like comparing to my PB because I know there's some runners like Deo Man doesn't ever compare to his PB because he doesn't like doing that, and then like I've also seen like plenty of like Crash runners, they'll compare to their averages just because of how volatile these games can be.
Yeah.
I've just always liked comparing to my PB because like I like knowing whether or not I'm genuinely on a pace. It doesn't really bother me when I'm not, because at the end of the day I just genuinely enjoy playing the games. So if it's not a PB, then it's not really a big deal.
My PB.
And it's like I would also like to I also like letting my chat know whether or not I'm on like a pace, because like I'm afraid of situations where like I'll be comparing to my average and someone will come in and be like, "Whoa, this is a really sick ass pace." I'm like, "Oh wait, no, I'm comparing to averages. It's not a PB pace." So,
right.
Yeah, I just always compare to my PB. And the only instances where I don't is when like there was like a couple times in Crash to Insanity where I rerouted to the point where I couldn't compare to my PB. So in those cases, I compared to whatever like my best time on that route was, and then left a note on like the layout that my actual PB is this.
I always just run with garbage splits because for the pace pals, green is good, baby. We will.
Yeah,
watch.
that is definitely fair. Like having green splits will like draw people in. I kind of like try to divert that. That's also one of the more stupid hidden gems. But yeah, I kind of try to divert that. On my layout, my on pace is actually blue,
I'm
and
just
then
kidding, by the way.
yeah, my behind pace is pink, and like that was like partly because I thought it looked nicer aesthetically, but it's also like I feel like people get turned away from the color red. I did not mean to suck in that nitro. That is the downside. That is the downside to Dingo Dow. You cannot take. Well, you can take in nitros, but I would not recommend it.
He's got a thick suck, dude.
Yeah. As they said on the next gen reveal, you can really feel the suck. He didn't. He didn't make the noise at any point. He didn't make It's like one of my favorite sound effects in like the entire series.
So what you're saying is when you said there was no RNG, you lied.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I misled you guys. Yeah, I'm trying to get like consistent prediction challenges going on in my stream.
Yeah, that's a good
and
one.
One of them is, will the armadillo say "nye"? Another one is, will the checkpoint and off balance be hostile?
I don't know if you saw this. Apparently somebody developed something for live split that it would be able to automatically run predictions for you based off of your splits.
Oh, that would be it. Like, if that's a thing, I need to look into that because
I don't know how operational it is yet, but I mean, just conceptually, it's a great idea.
Yeah, because until recently, only one of my mods has been doing predictions, and if he's not there, then like predictions just don't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you notice I burned my mask to destroy all those TNTs, which I haven't been doing at any other point really. So they actually did a very smart thing with checkpoints in this game, where if you trigger a TNT and then break a checkpoint while the TNT is counting down, the checkpoint will actually register the TNT and all the crates it is programmed to destroy as being part of the counter. So like in the previous level, if I hit the countdown and then like pulled up the HUD and then did and then broke the checkpoint, you see the counter go by like 5. And every checkpoint does that except for the one at the end of this level for some reason. It will not count TNT crates that are counting down. So to avoid that, I just damage abuse on them because I don't need the mask at that point. And then I just break the checkpoint. Alright. So now we're coming into Snow Way Out, which was one of the demo levels.
Pulling a question out from the chat real quick. They said, I'm not familiar with this game. Why does he collect so many fruits when you only need clear gems for this category? Wouldn't it be faster if you ignored the fruits? And that's because, isn't that because one of the clear gems is requires fruits, or does require fruits?
3 of them actually do. Also, like, you end up collecting them anyway, so. Yeah, so this level introduces the time mask, and there's a really cool tech called the time warp.
Whoa, what the heck?
Yeah,
Oh, now we get to see it again.
yeah.
So how does that work?
Let me get through this and I'll explain it.
Okay, because you're just
I mistimed it there.
you're just
It's really cool. I just want to show it to you guys.
I know. Like, what the heck? I assume you're skipping cycles with that too.
If you do it properly, you can. So if you press both mask power buttons at the same time, so on default controls that's triangle and R2, you go into like the time slow mode and then you immediately go out of it, and for some reason that just teleports you forward. And this is the trick that I was mentioning that is only happens at lower FPS. If you uncap, like the lower the FPS, the stronger the effect is. And if your FPS is uncapped, it does basically nothing. So that's one of the reasons that I would like to go back to running 60 FPS, is because I would like to be able to use this in the run. And the reason I was doing uncapped before was for the sake of inputs. It is, but also because of that, it is technically optimal to run the game at 30 FPS. It's not really a commonly done thing right now, just because of the higher rate of dropped inputs at 30 FPS. In this category, I don't really think it's significant enough anyway, because even though you do get to like time warp, you still have to stop the break crates, so it's not as powerful as in any percent. In any percent, it's insane though, like seeing what you can do with 30 FPS. But like even right now, like people are not running on 30 FPS, but maybe that'll change in the future.
Boys for Bob, can you please make one of your games not require 30 FPS to be optimal?
Yeah,
like,
I know. I was
please?
thinking about that because
Please?
Spyro's optimal on 30 also, right?
Other than Spyro 1, it doesn't have any advantage. But yeah, Spyro 2 and 3, the hovers are higher. You get better hovers.
Yeah. Thankfully, it is the only thing in the entire game that is affected by FPS. So we're like we allowed unlimited FPS because like there's no benefit to doing it. Whereas like I believe in Spyro 3, unlimited is like makes Sparks really broken in his levels.
I remember doing jumps like that during the demo. It's very satisfying.
Yeah. But yeah, this like the time crate at 60 or at 30 is actually insane, which we found out on the Switch version, because the Switch version is natively at 30 FPS. And then like we found out it was we were at that point we were like pretty certain that it was tied to FPS. Okay, I'm gonna try and not die.
No worries.
But like the PC version essentially confirmed it when we found out Uncapped has like basically no time warp, and then 30 has the super broken time warp.
I was gonna ask how that I guess glitch worked on console, but
yeah, it works the same on console. It's just that again, it is tied to frame rate. So like if you're playing on like PS5 or PS4 Pro, you get about what I was showing off just there. If you play on like a base PS4, which is the model that the previous record holder Jordy ran on before switching to PC, you would notice that his time warps were like a little better than what Crispy Tacos or myself or Damos was getting. Yeah, if I had to do that level again, and I had to like any percentage just to get the 3 deaths gem, I probably would have just dropped to 30 just to show it off.
I keep forgetting that's the thing. that you actually can't die a certain number of times.
Yeah, it's like when you reach a certain point in this, like when running this game, it just becomes a non-issue. It's like it's something that's like really scary when you first learn it, and then like as time goes on, it's not really anything you think about, which is like kind of a similar thing with Crash 1, because one of my best friends in the community is Tet, who's the Crash 1 record holder for 100%. And like I've had this discussion with him where I'm just like, do you ever worry about dying in Crash 1? Because you know if you die, you have to restart the entire level, and he genuinely, it doesn't even cross his mind anymore. It's just one of those things where as you become more comfortable with the category, it's just something that in theory shouldn't be happening anyway, and then if it does, then like it's just another mistake. It's kind of like why like I try to convince people like don't be so afraid of dying. Like it'll just come with time where you don't do that, and you will lose more time trying to avoid dying than you would to actually dying. Because like I feel like if people are like intentionally going really safe and slow in order to not die, and then they're getting like plus 3 hour times, meanwhile like I reset crash landed a few days ago and got a 256. Like I think that shows like just going fast will trump any time you lose just to having to reset a level. And like obviously like yeah, now that I'm like at like record level and don't have as much time to save off of my summon best, like for me, yeah, if I have to reset a level, the run's probably dead, but that just comes with running the game. And it's not like it's unique only to this game. Like there's plenty like in reality what Crash game exists where dying isn't really bad.
Right, obviously.
Like there's a level like really late in the game where there's a large chunk of it where if you die you just lose like 2 minutes because there's no checkpoints, and I've been met with that as a counter of like, yeah, well if you die in this level you lose like 2 minutes, and my counter to that is okay, if I die and piston it away in Crash 2 I lose 2 minutes. So it's definitely one of those things where I feel like that's a very common thing that newcomers to Crash games get afraid of, is like getting overly concerned with dying.
Yeah,
like,
you can always just finish the run off and then go back to that section, grind it out a little bit more, do another run.
Yeah, I remember when I was running the remake of Crash 2 when it came out, and I was like, during the PS4 era, I was record tier at that also, and every time I made a new PB, someone would ask me, oh, how many deaths did you have? And my response was, I don't know, and honestly don't really care either.
Yeah.
Because that's not the only place where I'm losing time. And it's like, I've seen runs that are like deathless get beaten by runs that have like 5 deaths just because the movement is better. I was trying to not make that mistake. Alright, so this is Bears Repeating. This is a level where if you played this game on release, this level probably made you tear your hair out. As you can guess by the name of the level, this is the level that has Polar in it. And Polar used to suck a lot. Just in terms of his ability to break crates well. Let me get through this, and then
yeah,
I'll explain that more when we actually get to Polar.
Anytime there's the flame blocks.
Yeah. This level used to be like probably the level that would deter somebody from running this category, just because Polar was just that awful. But the one universal patch they actually applied to every version of the game was fixing Polar so that he's not the absolute worst to try and break crates with. And since then, like, this level has gone from like one of the worst levels in the game to pretty good level.
We got some cool little movement over here.
Yeah. Also, Toys for Bob was like, yeah, I know you guys like the bridge levels in Crash 1, so
yeah. Oh.
That was the most bridge level thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that it really was.
Actually, it was like the reverse, because like in the remake, the bridge level, you hit the problem of you don't go far enough. In that case, I went too far, which I've never done before. This is actually really scary with no mask. Try that again.
Alright. Very clean.
The only thing I need to be worried about is I've already got 2 deaths here, but thankfully the rest of this level really isn't that bad. Of course, I have to wait on the flame crates.
My mask is so cool.
Yeah, I do really like this mask. And they use it a lot, so this definitely will not be the last we see of her.
They like to make it real epic with all the explosions.
Definitely.
Oh, how I've missed this.
Also, Cortex says, "Oh, how I've missed this," as we promptly ignore him.
Yep.
And there's a bit of a sequence breaking in this to avoid doing some backtracking, and then you're supposed to bounce on this bridge and then bounce back, and then the top crates become iron. But with using spin bounces, I can just do that.
Yeah, they expected people to go through there, not on top, but it's pretty easy to get on top of
Yeah.
those crates. So
Yeah.
they might have known.
Yeah, so what made Polar really annoying on the initial release is that his hitbox for hitting crates was really, really small. So with all of these 2x2 stacks, it was supremely easy to like hit it, and then if you weren't exactly head on, you could hit like one of them, two of them, three of them. I don't know how you hit three of them, but you could do it. So the patch that they did is all of these 2x2 stacks, if you hit any one crate, it breaks all four of them. And on one hand, yeah, that's kind of a band-aid fix. On the other hand, it fixed the exact problem that was had with these levels, so I will accept it.
Yeah, close enough.
Well, like, if it's a band-aid fix that fixes the problem, sure. Like,
I did notice that when I was watching people's runs where they had to like go back through the level, and if they just missed one, it's all over.
yeah, this level was agonizing. This level was the reason I didn't 106% the game until it came out on PS5, because I could not be asked to try and get the insanely perfect relic in this level.
I bet you're overthinking those the last hit every time now.
Only a little bit. Alright, so now we have one more timeline level as Tana. This will be the last one before we play as her in the second to last hub. Before they fixed Polar, because this is an alternate timeline that bears repeating, this was in the running for worst level in the game, just because this section with Tana is really not good at all. And then to add it on, you had to play as Polar right after, so this was like kind of just the worst. But now that they fixed Polar, I don't mind it too much. I still don't think it's a great level, but it doesn't infuriate me like it used to.
Dingodile is in this game.
And we will be seeing more of him later.
Sand.
Yeah, it's fun to watch him just doing his thing.
Also, this has more memeable Tana dialogue, mostly drinks with mini umbrellas. Yeah, these cycles with the electricity are not very kind. Especially this last one here is very, very obnoxious, but thankfully,
Ooh. Oh.
they give you a mask right beforehand.
Oh my gosh.
So that is okay. Let me. There is one thing I do really like about Tana. She is very, very good at saving herself, because again, everything she does slows her down.
Yep.
So if I have to do something to save myself from a cycle, I can slow down. That is the one nice thing about Tana. She has a lot of like comeback factors that the other characters don't have. Also, let's see. Okay, so if I don't die in this bonus, I actually just dupe the crate. So bringing it full circle to Crash 2 speedruns, you can also do box dupes.
Really? How does that work in the context of like the game logic? If you have to do this level first, go for it.
Yeah, let me not die in the bonus. Alright, yeah.
Okay.
So if I leave this, I should have 115 crates here, but I have 116. So what happened was that those two TNTs that were like right next to the bonus, one of them blew up with the timing that accounted for both the main level and the bonus. And unlike the original Crash 2, If I beat this level with more crates than there actually are in the level, it will still give me the gem. So I'll get to the end of the level, it'll say 229 out of 228. Alternately, if I miss one of these, I can just keep going. But it'll say 229 out of 228. It won't show the gem spawning, but it will still give me the gem when I cross the finish line.
Does that save any time, or is it the same animation, just no gem?
It's the same. It's just more. It's just a backup option. So like, if I miss a crate in this level, I can keep going. And before they fixed Polar's hitbox, it was very, very nice for this level. Because like a lot of these crates would be very easy to miss. It's also really nice for the inverted level because the hidden gem in the inverted version of this level is extremely stupid. It's like hidden at the base of a tree as it breaks down on this section, and if there is a way to get that gem without either missing a crate or dying, I don't know what it is.
And
so it just
yep, there it is, 229.
Yeah. But yeah, so like that trick lets you it lets you just grab the gem, miss a crate, and then just keep going. But yeah, there have actually been a couple instances where I actually duplicated both of the TNT crates, and I don't know how to do that consistently, but I have seen it happen a couple times. Alright, so this is the third boss fight, and this is the first fight with Cortex. Spoilers.
Giant deadly missiles.
Yeah, so you're supposed to slow down time to avoid the hazards, but slowing down time slows down the fight, so I'm gonna not do that.
Makes sense.
Mark 2, deploy.
Except for there, like I do slow it down when like the punch bot shows up, because the moment it's in the arena, you know, I just have to go up and hit it.
You're just trying to be cool, I get it. The slow-mo.
Yeah. No, the real swag strat is in the phase after this.
Okay.
That one I didn't even slow down the time, it just did that for me. Alright. I know this looks like I'm showing off, but I swear this makes it easier.
The anti-marsupial missile is my own design.
Ooh.
Do you like it? What's that bandicoot, punch bot?
That walk.
Well, if you won't
Yeah,
play
the swag walk.
neither will I.
I think I did that for either like there was a GDQ hotfix that was just like a Crash 4 showcase, or it was like I did a speedrunning underground race for like Spike Vegeta and J Hobbs, and like in one of those two I did that, and someone in the chat was like, "Oh, Rico's showing off," and I was like, "No, I swear that makes the fight easier."
What happens if I hit all the buttons at once?
And then I'm gonna do it again here.
Feel the wrath of Cortex.
Ah, get it, guys? He's referencing the other Crash 4.
One hell of a catwalk. It's pretty sick.
So yeah, as I mentioned, this game does have a plot. The basic premise is that it takes place, you know, a good like 20 years after Crash 3. Cortex and Entropy escaped the time prison they were in at the end of Crash 3 by literally just growing up in the prison. So they took the long way back. But at this point, Cortex gets defeated. He says, "Screw this, I'm out of here." And then Entropy was like, "Well, I was gonna betray you anyway. I have a new partner, and we're gonna reshape the universe in my image." So basically, Entropy thinks he's Thanos. And Cortex is like, "Well, I can't let that happen because I can't lose to Entropy." So he has decided to team up with the Bandicoots, which is why Cortex becomes a playable character, and that's going to be the next level. Yeah, so this is Blast of the Past. This is like, seems like a largely like forgettable level, but in the run, this level sticks in my head because it is the first level where getting triple mask is very, very useful. And also possible.
So wait, just to go back a little bit, does that mean that Crash is like 30 years old or something?
I think. I think their ages are intentionally vague.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try very hard to not take a single hit here, because not getting invincibility in this level is actually quite slow.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not out of the clear yet because this bonus is not entirely the kindest.
And this was this one in one of the demos, or am I misremembering?
No, the last level in this hub.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna have to do this again. I hope I can do this.
Guess we'll find out.
Let me think about this one. Oh yeah, I got it.
Crash is 24, says Google.
Oh, okay, no, we're not
never
gonna
mind.
have the invincibility. Yeah, like I said, that bonus is not particularly kind.
Right.
Yeah, but like the indication that it is like 20 years after the original Crash 3 is because every hub, it tells you the name of the hub and also the time period in which it takes place. And the first one says N.SANTY Island present day, and then the last one says Cortex Island 1996. So like that's the indicator that like they actually did just wait that long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we will not get invincibility here, but we will likely see it in another level. There's 2 levels where the invincibility pops up and is actually very useful. The reason it would be useful is because it would let me break all these reinforced crates coming up without like having to actually slow down time. Yeah, like so I have to blow up the nitros and then run away and then body slam the reinforced crate. So if I had the invincibility, I could just run through it. I'm actually gonna... I don't know how the fruit count is in this level when I don't get the invincibility, so I'm gonna play it safe and just break those 2 bounce rates. Same with that one. And the rest of this should be pretty fun.
Yep, it's got the rail.
Yep.
Oh,
But yeah, the
hidden gem.
Yep. But yeah, so like this level, like casually, is like one of the less like standout ones. But it in this category specifically, this level does genuinely frighten me a bit, just because it is a pretty big time loss to not get the invincibility. Like, looking at my splits, I've lost over a minute in this level, and the bonus does not lose that much time.
Right.
Alright, so this is the first level where we play as Cortex, and Cortex has a bit of a notoriety of not entirely functioning the best. And I don't think it's really, like, there are definitely instances where Cortex just, like, does what I didn't tell him to do. But it's also like Cortex's gameplay just requires a lot of precision.
They laughed when I added blockification. Well, who's laughing now? Me.
But the upside is that you get to listen to Cortex's dialogue. Because Cortex stays the funniest character in the series.
So
Well, him and Engine.
Cortex has 2 platforms that he's able to like suspend in air. You turn enemies into the platforms, right?
Yeah. So if you shoot them once, they turn into like the solid block. This crate is the worst. Yeah, so if you hit them once, they turn into the solid block, and then if you hit them a second time, they turn into like gelatin that you could bounce off of. So I'm gonna do a little trick here. I'm gonna death abuse. And that, for one, it puts me at this part, and it also lines up this cycle, so I don't have to wait on this insect here. And then I know I skipped the crate. I'm gonna like loop back around for it. Yeah, Cortex's blaster is not the most precise. Yeah, so the reason I skipped that crate is because it let me more easily catch the cycle with that bug, and then I can just double around and just grab it that way. And then I can just dodge, or I can die.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's not a terrible jump, but it does suck to mess up. Just because if you do mess it up, you probably just have to do this entire section again.
Yeah, it looked like the edge is somewhat close there.
Yeah, it's you gotta get like really up to it, and Cortex is not the best about landing on things properly. And this crate is a bit annoying. Yeah, I'll play this one safe and just turn the insect into a platform, or I can miss.
There we go.
I've never tried a volcano there.
I do have to be.
You guys have volcanoes?
I have to be like kind of conscious of how I collect fruit in this level, because I don't think this level's not really Wumpa starved, but it's like it's inconsistent because a lot of the fruit I collect is next to explosive crates. So if I break, sometimes if I break both of them at the same time, then it will give me the fruit, but then sometimes it won't. Like if it breaks just the TNT crate. So I have to just be aware of that.
Steffo asks, wait, missing boxes at the start of last checkpoint? Am I dumb?
That was because they were next to. That's because they were next to Nitro.
Yep, that's pretty much always going to be the case. So next to Nitro, they all get blown up at the end of the level.
Yep, let me just make sure I got everything.
There you go.
Yeah, the whole like missing a crate next to Nitro is a very commonly asked question when people haven't seen the run. They're like, "Oh, you missed that crate," and I have to tell people, "Yeah, it's because the Nitro will work." Which because they didn't do that in the original Crash game, so it's not something that like if you haven't played any of the later Crash games or you didn't play the remake, then it's weird to people who haven't seen it. Okay, so this was also a level in the demo, which was this was the Cortex level in the demo. Ship happens.
Yeah, that's right.
This one, like, during the demo, this was the one that I probably had the most fun routing in terms of, like, breaking everything, because, like, the Cortex's side-scrolling section is, it's pretty convoluted. Just so that, like, this entire section is, like, sort of just a maze.
Even more so because you need to get all the boxes.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of fun figuring this one out. There is a strat here that I did in the demo that I like refuse to do in the run, and it is to do this part without actually hitting that exclamation trigger, because you can actually do all of it without it. It's just awful, and I'm not gonna do it like this far into the run. Whereas like in the demo, I could do it. It's like, oh, this is the first level. I'll just reset. But I don't have that choice here. And it saves like maybe a second or two. Also, this is where we find out that Cortex is willing to eat Crash and Coco, which I find a little weird. This is one of the timeline levels where the box placement is so different that it does feel like a very different level.
I noticed that, yeah, I noticed that too, because you do get to play both in the demo, right?
Yeah.
It actually took me a bit, I don't know why I did, but whenever I played this, it took me a bit to realize that it was the same level. I kept, like, double taking. Mainly because of the box placement.
Yeah. Like I said, some of the timeline levels, they don't change enough to feel really that different, and then some of them do. This level does feel extremely different. Play that a little safe because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to bank on landing on that crate properly. Oh, that never works properly either, but it did there. Alright, so
Oh, wow.
That was actually a strat I just recently started doing.
That was really cool.
Here, I can throw in some time warps. And then bouncing on that enemy is a strat I actually came up with yesterday. Well, while I was doing the quad factor, I was like, what if I just bounce on this enemy instead of spinning him? And it works.
Yep. So many
I don't know if it
different ways
like
to
I don't know if it
handle stuff.
yeah, it's like I don't know if it actually like saves or loses any time. It was just more like, oh, I don't have to worry about spinning and then slide spinning. I can just bounce on them.
This is one of those games where you can run through the same area, and as long as you're not playing a character that loses time with every action they do, you can. It's pretty negligible. Create your own route.
Yeah, something I guess like I didn't even really mention is how masks work in this game, and that you actually don't carry them into the next level. So like I left that level with a mask, but I'm not gonna have it in the next level. And a lot of people were really bothered by that because, you know, every other previous Crash game you would carry masks into the next level.
Yeah.
I actually really like it. I don't think it's necessarily better, but I think it's different in a unique and interesting way because it allows me to be really liberal with how I use my mask. Like, so at the end of that level, I just spawn right into Nitros to hit the exclamation crate that was next to them. Yeah, so this was the last level that was in the demo of Dino Dash. And I died to an insect. Alright, so I do a death abuse in here, so I'm just gonna be safe and not risk dying too many times. Thankfully, because we do loadless timing, resetting the level if you're going back to the beginning anyway doesn't lose a lot of time. It loses maybe a second or two. But yeah, so because you can be so much more liberal with the mask, there's a lot of strats where like, oh well, I'm gonna lose this mask at the end of the level anyway, I might as well just burn it here.
Yeah.
And just like go through things a lot quicker. And I really like that because a lot of like, with the exception of like Crash 1 and 2 on PS1, a lot of like Crash games I feel are defined by their mask usage. So like, so if you look at like Crash 3, or like the original Crash 3 especially, and then also like Crash 1 in the N.SANTY trilogy, and even like Crash 3 and Crash 2 in the N.SANTY trilogy, a lot of the routing is defined by like, okay, I need these masks here, and if I take a hit, then I lose like 5 seconds for the next like 3 levels. And like, that's cool. It's a neat routing aspect. I find it an annoyance when I ran those games. So I like in this game, it's kind of like OG Crash 2, where you can be very liberal with the mask usage, and like, it's in Crash 2, it's literally slower to have invincibility, except for in one spot in the run. So in that spot, it's just like, oh, if I lose the mask, then it's not really a big deal, and then if I don't lose the mask, I can just burn it. And that's like what you can do here, which I really like.
Why is it slower in Crash 2?
In Crash 2, for some reason, going invincible makes your slide really slow, so neutral slide spin becomes, like, basically useless. And then, like, the opposite happens in Crash 3, where, like, in Crash 3, invincibility makes your slide really fast, so neutral slide jump becomes insane. And it's why the two runs are so different. And then in Crash 1, there's just there's like, aside from a few spots, there's no real benefit to getting the invincibility because zigzagging is just faster than the invincibility movement. But yeah, because of that, you'll see me burn masks in a lot of ways. Just because I know they won't be carried into the next level.
Really nice in this level. Across a lot of these gaps, you can just literally slide over them.
Yeah. I remember like when I was doing runs in the demo, and we found out very quickly that you could do that. And like I'd put the runs on YouTube, and a lot of people would just comment like, "Wow, this ruins the game. Everything's too easy." And I was like, ignoring the fact that this doesn't actually make the game any easier, and I would in fact argue it makes the game harder.
Right. Because for instances like that right there, you tried going for it, and
oh no, that one I did on purpose.
Oh, okay. I thought okay.
That was an intentional death abuse because it lined up the cycle. But yeah, like But yeah, it's like, how does my slide spinning ruin like your enjoyment of the game? It was like that kind of thing. It's like, wow, this just like the game is like unplayable because of this. So like, why? Because I'm doing something that would never come up in casual play anyway. And it's just interesting seeing comments like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different perspective. I'm all for having multiple ways to tackle problems.
Yeah. I think that's an element of like really good game design is like you set the base there and then you let the player figure out how they want to do it. And like when you restrict that too much, it like limits design, and that was like one setback of the N.SANTY trilogy, is that a lot of the places that were like really open in, you know, like the original Crash games got locked off by invisible walls. And like Crash 4 doesn't really do that in too many spots. So you have a lot of freedom, which I think is really great.
This is a big reason why we all hate invisible walls, because it just it just limits creativity. It's not necessarily sequence breakings all the time. It's just like really anything.
Yeah. So this is a rock block, and it is the only Dingodile level that I am not particularly fond of. Well, the only level where that is like strictly a Dingodile level. There's another level where you play as him and another character that's not Crash or Coco that I'm not too fond of either. But my stance on this level is that I would like it a lot if it worked. It tends to have a lot of functionality issues. It's also very long, because like this entire Dingodile section is like 3 minutes long, and then it puts you into the beginning of Dino Dash.
Okay.
And Dino Dash is not a particularly short level either.
He has a lot of reach with that, the hover.
Yeah, the hover goes very far, and I use it to just avoid having to grab the TNT, blow up that wall, and then like grab the TNT again and blow up the crates. These crates do not like to lock on. This is what I meant by
okay,
the level
there you
doesn't
go.
really function all that well. Yeah, Dingodile normally like homes in on crates when he has to shoot them from the background, and those crates for some reason he doesn't.
Wait, you can spin and then hover after it while you're in the air?
Yeah, it's similar to like the way I do the spin jumps with Crash and Coco. Yeah, I can do it here.
That's clean.
Yeah, I do think the design of this level is really cool. It's just like its functionality in the speedrun I find to be very obnoxious. These insects also like to break on uncapped FPS. Like they're supposed to like hover back and forth, and some of them will just like vibrate in place when I'm playing at unlimited FPS, which like makes some of this actually a fair bit easier. Like this guy especially really likes to not work on unlimited FPS. Yeah, I do think this entire side-scrolling section is really cool. It's just that it's annoying that it's so long, and then it goes into like the early stages of Dino Dash, so you essentially just do 2 levels here.
Oh, and you can keep your double jump after you spin as well.
Yeah.
Time to go.
They really give you the freedom to kind of just do whatever you want.
Yeah. I'm gonna not play with that. So there is actually a bit of a route divergence in this category, because the stipulations for beating the category are get every clear gem and beat the final boss, and you don't have to do them in a specific order. So a common early route was to beat the final boss and then come back to all the timeline levels and beat them afterwards, because there's there's a tech you get for beating the game called the triple spin, which is essentially this game's equivalent to the running shoes. And basically the way it works is that if you properly time 3 spins, you get a speed boost that you can like carry through the air. And the idea was that, well, it saves time, so you just go back to yeah. Side note, I don't like that bonus. That bonus likes to not work.
I just found it interesting.
Today.
You got as much height as you could, and you ground pounded next to the crates, and you're able to get them all.
Yeah, so that is definitely like sequence breaking that bonus, and saves a little bit of time. But yeah, the idea of the other route is that you use the triple spin to like save some time in the alternate timeline levels. The reason I don't do that, there's 3 big reasons. One, I don't really like the alternate timeline levels all that much, so I really don't want to save them for the end of a 3-hour run. The second reason is that because you have to break crates, I really don't think the triple spin saves a lot of time, if it saves any at all. Like, it would definitely save time if I didn't have to break the crates. So like there's a miscellaneous category called all timelines, which is essentially all levels, because the timeline levels are optional, so they're not done in any percent. And in that category, there's more merit to saving them for a triple spin. But in this category, I really don't think it saves a huge amount of time. And then also, I'm just like the kind of runner where I like ending on a proper ending. So for me, you know, ending for crossing the finish line of like a random level just feels weird to me. So I would prefer ending on the final boss. So I do that. And like even like when I did a 106% speed run, I made sure to end on the inverted version of the final boss, just because it felt more correct to me.
Yeah.
It's like so I don't feel so strongly about this that I like try to enforce it in the rules of the run. Mm-hmm. So like I don't care if people use that route, but it's like I personally feel that runs should end on proper endings, with like some exceptions. So like the original Spyro 2.
I was actually
like,
going to bring that up specifically.
Yeah, like early Ripto, like obviously like I understand that one. And then like Crash 3 NST's 108% category also doesn't end on the final boss. The reason being, all right then. The reason that one doesn't end on the final boss either is because the only way you would be able to end on the final boss in that category is to fight him twice. And you can trigger the secret ending of that category with only fighting him once. So we just made the rule of you can end it wherever, you just have to trigger the secret ending at some point.
And for people that don't understand what we might be referring to by exceptions, pretty much like say the final boss unlocks an ability that would grant you like that would help out in a 100% speedrun where you have to like go back through all the levels. That's where you kind of draw the line, or make the exception, I guess.
And I think another comparison is that in the Wrath of Cortex, in the 106% speedrun, you actually are required to fight the final boss twice. Because even though you get 106% before fighting him a second time, you can't get the secret ending until you've beaten him once. And the true, like the ending of the category is considered the secret ending. So he has just fought twice. Yeah, so this is out for launch, and this is the single most Wumpa Starved level in the entire run. So I keep very close track of how much fruit I have at this point. At the point where the cutscene triggered, I had 215, which is actually like the exact average I try to aim for. Mm-hmm. So we're on good track.
So at the very beginning of this level, well, when you initially got into it, you had taken a death, so you restarted. That's not necessarily as punishing. I mean, I guess in a marathon, sure, but like as far as I guess RTA for you guys goes, because you guys do the load, like with loads removed.
Yeah. So again, like it only lost me like a couple seconds.
Because while he's restarting the game, it's still a load screen. So during most of that time of like restarting the level, it's not actually like counting against him.
Yeah. Also didn't mention, this level is the first one that introduces the final Quantum Mask, which is Ika Ika, and you don't use him too much here until like this next section, but his power is anti-gravity, and we will be seeing a lot of it now. And this is, like, next to Akano, this is probably the most broken mask in terms of, like, what you can do with them. Although, honestly, they're all pretty broken. Like, the one who's, like, not really that broken is Lonnie Loli, and even then you still have, like, the phase explosion stuff. Yeah, so at the beginning of the run, I mentioned that there were some levels, one in particular, where I would quite blatantly bounce on bounce crates. This is it.
Would you say this is the most difficult mask since it literally throws you upside down?
It's definitely the least intuitive. Like,
Okay.
This is probably the one I struggled the most with when I first played the game, and this is usually the one where, like, when someone's mentioning it, they're like, oh yeah, I have no idea how to use this mask, and I'm like, yeah, I don't blame you. This section is, like, really not fun, by the way. These snipers are the worst.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's so many places to get hit here.
Yeah, the worst part is that there's no checkpoint after it. So if I get through all this and then die, I have to do it again.
No way.
Yeah, the question mark crate I just broke becomes a checkpoint if I die too many times, but at that point then I'm not getting the gem. So I have to just avoid that. Yeah, so this last rail section is very precarious because there is a giant Wumpa fruit that I need to get the Wumpa gem. And it's right next to a bunch of nitro.
Oh my god. But we got through it.
We did. And if you thought that was annoying, be prepared for my personal least favorite level in the game, and next to Coral Canyon in Crash in Wrath of Cortex, it is my second least favorite my second least favorite level in the entire like set of like 3D platformers.
Got to find that ship.
So this is shipping error, and this level is the worst. For one, there is not a single mask in this entire level. There isn't one in the Cortex section, and there isn't one in the Crash and Coco section, which is, of course, also you can have that happen. But yeah, there's no mask in either part of the level. It's a very long level because it takes you to the beginning of Out for Launch, and it is extremely checkpoint starved. Okay. Also, like, the design of Cortex's section is very, very evil. Like, there's a lot of just a bunch of enemies you have to deal with.
Now we can see the hidden gems are becoming a little bit more hidden, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's a bit easier to miss. The one in Out for Launch is like the easiest one to miss, because it's like just literally behind a wall. And that one is so easy to miss that in my splits, my name for the Out for Launch split is actually called Grab the Hidden Gem, you idiot.
I always love putting notes in my splits. Can help
Yeah,
out when you're first getting into a game.
I like putting funny names on all my splits, and that one is like it's a hint, and also it's just really funny. Yeah, so this is the last checkpoint in Cortex's section, and there's a lot more of Cortex's section coming up.
Oh boy.
See it. So here's there's a nice little sequence break over here. So Cortex's head is so huge that he can hit the exclamation crate on the other side of that wall.
What? Oh my gosh.
So I don't have to go
really
through that
funny.
section. But yeah, this section is really annoying. Because if you jump too high, you get caught in the vortex of these enemies, and then you also have to deal with that sniper over there.
No way they put
So
that guy there.
it's so much fun. That being said, that aside from the death or the reset it early on, it wasn't too bad. But now I have to do all of Out for Launch without a single mask. And so you notice before these nitros on these rails. So in the original release of the game, this level in Out for Launch had some pretty nasty RNG, where the nitros could bounce, and if they bounced at the wrong time, they could kill you. They fixed Out for Launch. And then initially they didn't fix shipping error. So Out for Launch, like all the RNG's gone. And then in shipping error, there was still RNG, which made this level even worse than it already was. So back to the question, does this run have any RNG? And I said at one point in one level, and I'll get back to it when we get there. We have gotten there. So in future updates, they almost fixed it. So notice that on these rails, the nitros have not been moving. There's 3 sets of rails in this level, and on the first 2, they no longer bounce. On the last set of rails, they do. And you can die to that, and I died to it a few days ago, I think. And naturally, it's at the section at the end of the level, past the point where there's any checkpoint. So if you die, you can just lose a minute to no fault of your own. The one positive of this level, though, is that it's not nearly as checkpoint starved as Out for Launch is, so I don't really need to worry about that aspect too much. But this section is like more obnoxious than it already was in Out for Launch. Yeah, these snipers are in the running for like my least favorite enemy in the game, just because of how annoying their aim is and how far their blasts go. Going back on the whole, I like to have funny split names for all of my splits. My split name for this level is Fuck Off. Yeah, so notice that these nitros are bouncing. And I died to it. There was nothing I could have done about that.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm almost glad it happened so I could show that off. But yeah, if that happens, that's just like it's like a 40-50 second time loss to no fault of your own. So yeah, it's thankfully it doesn't happen too often. Like I can count the number of times I've died to that like on one hand, but it exists, and that's annoying. So hence my split name. I see someone commented no world record. We were well past world record. See, there's this thing where if I have a really good run one day, I'm guaranteed the next day for every run to be terrible. And yesterday during the quadfecta, I had a run that was 2 minutes off of my record. So naturally, this run was gonna go completely bad. But like, if this ends up being like sub 3 or even like a little over 3 hours, I'll accept that because like this is a very volatile category. So this is stowing away. I would say this level is, compared to every other level in this hub, it's a pretty straightforward level. There's nothing too crazy about it. The one thing I've noticed is that there's a single mask crate in this level, and ideally I would like to keep it because it makes the bonus faster, but it's not really a big deal if I lose it. It's not as bad as, like, you know, when I lost the invincibility in Blast to the Past, and that lost me, like, nearly a minute. It's more just, like, it makes the bonus a little faster and easier. Here's use the anti-grav to a little hidden area up there to get the hidden gem. I'm gonna back up because these waffle irons auto kill you. Not that I want to get hit by it anyway because that would lose me the mask, but they do have they are one of the handful of hazards in the game that do like genuinely just kill you automatically. Also, there I did something that they actually, I don't think it's really come up yet in the run, but in this game you can slide while you're like crouching. So you don't have to like get up and then slide again. You can just like, I can hold R1 and then just press circle and I'll get another slide.
So there are things in this game that will like squeeze you, but they don't kill you?
No, it's more just like anything that squeezes you will kill you, generally. It's just that there are some hazards like those waffle irons where like it doesn't matter if you have a mask, if you touch it you will die. I'm not sure why they're like that. So I'm gonna do a bit of a sequence break in this bonus. So by damage boosting on those nitros, I can do this backtrack way earlier than you're supposed to, because you're supposed to get to the end and then backtrack from there. But instead, I backtrack halfway through the bonus. because you're supposed to hit this nitro detonator and then go backwards, but that's like halfway through the bonus. You can just like blow up the nitros with the mask. And then another thing I didn't really mention about Akano with his like dark matter spin is that it actually breaks the reinforced brace that you normally need a body slam for. Kind of just glossed over that because it doesn't cross my mind when I'm doing the run.
Ooh, got a little puzzle here.
Yeah, I actually really like this section. There's ways to do it faster, like you can squeeze between the blocks while they're moving. But if you mess it up, you die.
Yeah.
Like if you watch like an any % run, I think they all started doing that now. I'm not doing that in the 3-hour category. I'm sorry, guys.
No thanks.
If anybody takes issue with the 3 to 4 seconds I lose by not doing that,
Just go get
you're
world
welcome.
record
You're,
with it then.
you're welcome to do it yourself. Alright, so the next level coming up is Crash Landed, which casually is one of my favorite levels, and I also think it's a pretty neat level in the run. It's one of the harder levels, and it's also one of the longer ones. But overall, I for one, I think it's probably the single most beautiful level in this game, because it takes place on an alien planet. But also, it's also, I really like the song in it, and the level design is cool. Also, this beginning feels very Snowgo, if anybody's played Crash 2.
Oh yeah, I know. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, they throw in a lot of references to older games like that. Like one of the bonus round in Jetboard Jetty looks almost exactly like the Cortex bonus round in Jaws of Darkness from Crash 1. I see someone in the chat ask, why do I grind this game? Because I think it's fun. That's like really the biggest reason. I just really love this game. Alright, so I'm going to try and... so I'm going to damage use here because there's an extra mask on the section coming up, but I'm going to try and keep 2 masks from this point. Also, this is an alien. The species is called Snurgle. This one is named Tim because we decided his name was Tim, so say hi to Tim.
What up, Tim? But I mean, I'm sure the series doesn't really get stale for you because you play so many of the games.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'm grateful for. Like a lot of runners, I feel they get associated with a single game, and even if they try to switch to like a different game in the series, like it's a bit of a struggle, like viewership wise. I somehow managed to carve my niche as being the guy who runs all of the Crash games. So regardless of which one I play, like I've been able to see like growth on my channel. And I'm very grateful for that because if I ever get burned out by one of the Crash games, I just play one of the other 8 that are there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's an invincibility. This makes this entire blue jump path a lot easier.
So while we are talking about this game, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about there. While we are talking about this game mainly, what's your thoughts on Mind Over Mutant?
Casually, I actually don't think Mind Over Mutant is that bad. I actually enjoyed it quite a lot when I played it a couple months ago. It is very, very different. So, like, if you're expecting a classic Crash game, you're not going to get it out of that game. But I think for what it is, I found it fair. I found it to be pretty enjoyable. Like, it's still not one of my favorite Crash games, but I would not go as far as to say it's bad.
Skip the
as a speed run, Mind Over Mutant's incredible. Like, that's actually a really cool run, which is why I want to learn it. It's like N.SANTY levels of broken.
Plus, they have all the 2-player stuff.
Yeah. Like, the co-op mode breaks that game in half. But yeah, the both of the invincibilities there helped me just, like, make that entire section trivial. Also, there was, like, larger Snurgles in that area, which I think the concept art for them called them Mama Snurgles. I call them Joseph. Just cause I was like, I need a name for these guys, and I just called them Joseph. So we got Tim and Joseph in this level. Yeah. This is a bonus that trips up a lot of people when they first learn ACG. I remember when I was learning this, I thought this bonus was terrible. I've gotten to the point where it doesn't really bother me all that much. And then again, I'm intentionally bouncing on these because this level is a bit on the checkpoint starve side.
Yeah, don't want to get all the way to the end, not have enough.
I actually, in my quad feta yesterday, I got the bare minimum I needed to get the gem in this level. It's like I wasn't even paying attention to the fruit count, and it was just like that close. And I think that was because I skipped these fruit yesterday, so I'm gonna not do that this time.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I probably don't need them, and then it turned out I needed them. I'll break that there as well. And then this hidden gem is here. I think the hint is that nitro that's just there behind you. Section's a little awkward, and then here's a neat thing with Ika is that if you slide on ice and then trigger him, you just get sent flying. This is the only level where you can do it.
Yeah, what's up, Hypno Shark?
Is that my boy Hypno in the chat?
I think so.
What up, Hypno? So
Whoa, this level's really cool looking.
Yeah, the entire remainder of this level is done on Tim. So there's a set of 4 crates coming up that trips up a lot of people. Again, generally because like the way you handle vehicles in this game is not really intuitive compared to how it's done in the original games. So this set of 4 crates coming up does trip up a lot of people. It's right after this checkpoint.
Him is moving.
Yeah, so they actually fixed that on PS5 in a similar way how they fixed Polar, where if you break like one of the ones on the right, it breaks both of them. But that change didn't carry over to PC. But again, ultimately, it doesn't bother me too much because I find this level to be significantly fairer than bears repeating. And then this last section is so it's the Finding Nemo section with all the turtles. I had a lag spike there. I'm really glad that didn't make me miss the crate.
Yeah. This level, though, is really beautiful.
Yeah, I love this level. This is one of my favorite levels in the game. It's also like, yeah, like there I barely got enough fruit. Like, you saw, like that was 1,030 fruit, and I just barely went over 80%. Yesterday during my run, I got 1,020 fruit, and I think the minimum you need for 80% is like 1,018 or something. All right, so I'm gonna actually switch to Crash just for this because there's a neat little Easter egg in this level that makes more sense if you play as Crash. Okay. And this is usually my 1 minute break, but just because it is a showcase, I do want to show this off. But usually I don't go for this because I'd rather just take the break. Yeah, I can do nothing on this rail and it doesn't matter.
Interdimensional domination.
Just vibing.
Something. I love listening to the dialogue because it's like all like echoey.
From our universe. I fly solo.
Yeah, this is the Entropy boss fight. You fight Entropy and female Entropy, and they have a thing for each other, and it's kind of weird. Oh my god, I almost missed that one. I think if I'd missed that fruit, I actually would have just restarted because I really want to show this Easter egg. Yeah.
It requires getting all of these?
Yeah, you have to get all these are the Bumpa berries. And they're the collectible in the inverted levels. Oh, we got it. Memes.
Oh, really?
So, fun fact, when I first played this game, naturally I was playing as Coco. And Coco's version of that says yeah instead. which is like a much more obscure version of the woe meme. So I was very confused when I saw that. I was like, what the hell is that? And someone in chat had to tell me that like when you do it as Crash, it's the woe meme. But yeah, I generally don't show that off when I'm doing attempts because again, this is like 2 hours into the run and I just want a break. But because it's a showcase, I'll show it off.
So many little legs to pull.
That's great.
Oh, it's found its way home.
All right, and got a boss fight on our hands.
Yeah, so this is the boss fight in the game that a lot of people like feel kind of like disappointed by because at this point they're playing it up like this is the big showdown. You're taking down the entropies before they like rewrite the universe, and like all of the 4 characters have teamed up at this point. So it's played up as like a big showdown with like the good guys versus the entropies, and then it's just this. Like I get the feeling if any aspect of the game, yeah. If any aspect of the game was rushed, this was probably it. I feel like they wanted to do a lot more with this fight and just couldn't.
So it looks pretty challenging.
Yeah, but yeah, after you do that, like that's just the end of the fight there.
Yeah, you would think that's phase 1.
Yeah, yeah. As Spyro-fan in the chat said, the concept art suggested that there was another phase. And they probably just couldn't get implemented. But yeah, at this point, this is the point that I consider that we're in the end game because there's only 2 hubs left.
Yeah, there's not
like,
too much left.
When you first play the game, they kind of play up that part as like the final boss, and then this is like kind of like a post game, and then like it kind of swerves where like there's actually more going on.
Again, beautiful level design, like nearly every level.
Yeah, this entire dimension aesthetically is stunning. I just wish gameplay-wise it was a bit better because this is the only level in the hub that I like really enjoy. This is Food Run, and Food Run is the first level that kind of like tests how well you know how to use the mask because all 4 of them are in this level, which is kind of like how it plays up like being a post-game level. Like, it's like okay, well you've beaten the bad guys and now this is your reward. Show us how you know how to use all the masks. So we had Kapunawa at the beginning, and then now we have Ika Ika.
This is being played on PC.
Yep, yeah, this is the PC version. Now, on the Speedrun.com leaderboards, we actually split between PC and console, and that's because they have 2 different load removers. Because the PC version has a memory-based one, kind of like how Spyro has for Reignited. And then the console version obviously has an image-based one, like the N.SANTY trilogy.
It's nice whenever they have very like clear-cut loading screens that you're able to do the visual one.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, that was the biggest problem with console Spyro Reignited, is that there was no easy way to make an image-based load remover. So eventually, like everybody just gave up.
Yep. But for Crash, it worked near flawlessly.
Yeah, it's really good for N.SANTY trilogy. And then, like, Crash 4's, it took a bit of working around, but the image-based one works really well. But because it's, like, 2 different methods of, like, removing the loads, they're never, like, truly comparable.
Yeah.
So we thought it was best to just split the boards, even though the runs are pretty similar.
Wouldn't be 100% accurate. Like, you'd be giving an advantage to somebody. And you never want to do that.
Yeah. We think it would actually be an advantage for console. So...
I guess if that was the case, then maybe you could. But I mean, it doesn't matter.
It's still like it's better to just like keep it separate to be safe.
That's fair. Because like we talked about before, there's a couple time saves that you get with the PC as far as like choosing which levels to play in, like the level select.
Yeah. This is probably the most complex like puzzle-based bonus. I was actually a few weeks ago, I was visiting my sister and brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law's been playing this casually. And he was on this level, and it took him a long time to figure out how to beat that bonus. He actually eventually asked me, like, how do I do it? And I was like, yeah, this is one of the harder ones to figure out. Yeah, I did a little phase there to blow up that nitro, because that's the only nitro left in the level. So by blowing it up manually, I don't have to go out of my way to get the nitro detonator at the end here.
Gotcha. That's probably the only time you do that.
I actually also do it in Dragon On. The only nitros in that level are in the bonus round, so I blow them up in the bonus round with the detonator there, and then because that nitro detonator is like really far to the left at the end of the level, so it just saves like a couple seconds. Yeah, so for the rest of the hub, we're going to be playing as the other characters. This level is Rush Hour. It is the most accurate name for a level I've ever heard. In this run, it is the second longest level in the game. Just going through the game normally, this is the longest level by far.
Let's see if these tall
Because there's two parts of it that by themselves could each be their own individual level. So the first part you play as Dingodile, and the second part you play as Tana. Also, the crate count in this level is 441, and that's not even the highest crate count in the game.
Dang. Does that seem to be consistent for the Dingodile levels?
Yeah, Dingodile levels have a lot of crates just because they're in a huge amount of bunches because he can just plow through them.
Yep.
The highest crate count is also a Dingodile level. It was no Dillo-dallying, which was the alternate run at Bayou. That one has 501 crates, I believe.
Dang.
Also, these Nitro bots are the worst. So when this game first came out, I got to Food Run, and there's TNT bots in that level, and I'm like, oh my god, TNT bots, they chase you. And Atomical Sloth, who's he's one of my moderators, and he's a Crash to Insanity speedrunner, and he also like mods that game. And he joked, now watch, the next level is going to have Nitro bots that chase you. And then I got to this level, and this level has Nitro bots that chase you. And his response was, wow, the developers really are as mean as I am.
That's so funny.
MI franchise? Could I open a restaurant? In an airport?
Yeah, the dialogue in this level when you play as Dingodile is also great. The dialogue in this game in general is just amazing. It's I don't think it's quite Twinsanity levels of funny, but it definitely gets pretty close. Yeah, in this level, Dingodile questions whether or not he could franchise his restaurant. Yeah, that's an example of like just a huge amount of crates in like one section. I think there was like 18 crates.
But yeah, if you guys are ever seeing him like miss crates, he's not really missing them. It's just that they probably buy a TNT, or not a TNT, a Nitro crate.
Yeah, if it was that section where there was like a robot and like a bunch of crates, and I just bounced on a TNT mass, yeah, all of those crates get blown up by Nitros, so I don't have to worry about them.
Man, I have to think about so many things at once during this.
Yeah, this section in particular is very rough. There's a part coming up where there's 4 crates you have to break, and you're also getting chased by like 5 Nitro bots, and I just like give up and just take a hit there. I'm just like, I'll just do it. Yeah. Especially because when you also lose masks when you switch characters, and at this point we're about to switch off of Dingodile, so these masks aren't going to help me anyway.
Yeah, just
so
like
I tried to bounce on those Nitros, but instead I landed right in front of them, which was not what I was aiming for.
Oh, gotcha.
And then this hidden gem is all the way out here, and this isn't really a hard one, but that being said, I have actually lost over a minute to like undershooting that jump. Because it takes you back to the very beginning of this bus section. Alright. So now we switch to Tana. And Tana's section is honestly pretty boring because it's mostly rails. That being said, I do have to be careful because there is a glitch that does happen like when you switch characters sometimes, where if you switch characters and then break crates too quickly, if you die when you respawn, sometimes the crates won't be there. And I'm gonna try and avoid that because the first checkpoint is pretty far into the level. I don't think this level is really hard. Unless you're going for the insanely perfect, then it's very, very draining. But, like, nothing in the level is particularly overly difficult. It's just there's so much of it.
I feel like the rail sections are more of just to kind of give people, like, a break, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and kind of just absorb, like, what's going on in the level. See what...
Yeah, in any percent especially, this level is a pretty massive break to me, I feel. It's just that it is also really bad to mess up, though, because there are so few checkpoints. So if you die, it's a huge time loss, but it's also like it's not like a lot of the late game levels where you're like in constant threat of dying. And I use a double jump there to just completely dodge that wall jump section. That is, like, again, like the cool thing about Taunt's part of this level, and just Taunt in general, is that you can skip a lot of the wall jumps.
Is the hit detection on what a grappling hook pretty good?
On the rails, yeah. Elsewhere, not really. If you're not aiming at anything in particular, like, so you see the R2 prompts popping up, if that's not popping up, it really doesn't have a lot of accuracy.
Gotcha.
And sometimes even when it does, it will just choose not to work. It thankfully doesn't really happen in this level, but it does happen in other levels.
Holy crap, some of those are zooming.
Yeah, this is the Frogger section. And there's another Frogger section at the very end that is absolutely terrifying. When I did a 106% speedrun, both of my visits to this level, so I had like this and then I had the Relic Pass, both of them were like at the seat of, at the edge of my seat, because at the very end of this level I got so dangerously close to dying. The worst part about this rail is that the next checkpoint is quite a bit after it. So, alright. This flame crate sometimes just doesn't line up, and it will line up in a way where there's no way you can hit it without dying. But thankfully that doesn't happen too often. Yeah, so look at that traffic over there. I have to cross through all of that. Thankfully, I have 2 masks to do it with, because I have one right now, and then there's one in this section here. Oh, well, there's one of them.
Speaking of which,
I was a little antsy there. If I wanted to play it safe, I could have not lost the mask, but I knew I had the second one coming up, so.
nice.
And hopefully that's everything. That is everything. It's always like a bit of
Good
a
stuff.
clinch when you get to that level. Please don't tell me 440 out of 441.
Yeah, so many boxes in that level. It'd be really easy just to miss one.
Alright. And then the last level in this hub is the Crate Escape. This is Cortex's level. This is a level where, like, my opinion of it has improved the more I've played it. Like, at first I thought this level was awful. It's horrible. It's the worst. As time has gone on and I've gotten a better handle of how Cortex functions, or lack thereof, I've become a bit more receptive to it. It still is pretty rough, but I don't really think the level is like stupid in the way that Shipping Error is. Shipping Error, I think my opinion of that level just lowers every time I do it. Yeah, I also like to call this level the garbage level, for reasons you can probably discern by the enemies.
Yeah.
Also, these trash can enemies who like cover their head and look like in a constant state of panic, they are a whole ass mood. Like, I vibe with them. Like, that's just me on a constant basis. Yeah, movement tech wise, I do think Cortex is really cool in the speedrun because he has this like air dash. Up that I was a little early on.
Oh no.
You can time that because Cortex does a little like hover in there. You can time it so that the platform reopens and you can just land on it, but it's a little finicky. So I thought I had enough time there, but I will play it safe. Yeah, unfortunately, I lost a mask that would be very useful in this section. I think this is a hotel card section. Yeah, I have to backtrack because the hidden gem is up here.
Would you otherwise be able to get that with the mask, or nah?
No, it's the mask just makes it safer. But no, I have to backtrack for the arrow crate because the exclamation crate triggers the arrow crate. Yeah. All of these sets of cards follow a specific pattern. So there's like one at a time, 2 at a time, 4 at a time, 1 at a time again, 1 at a time again, and then the last one is 1 at a time but at a faster rate. So you just have to like be aware of how all of them work. Alright, I'm not gonna be able to catch that cycle, so we gotta wait on it. Oh yeah, check it down. Alright. This is also, I call this one the trash cycle. Yeah, that one, I did that a little too early. Let's try it again. Again, I will play this safe just because I really... The last part of this level can be a little gross, so I would rather not die and have to do it without dying.
Is it 3 or less?
Yeah, 3 or less.
Okay.
So as soon as I hit 4, then I have to do the level again. Which again, like I've gotten like PB runs that like have had level resets. I think my last console PB loses like 5 minutes in this level because I just die in it, and it was still like a 303. And then I can use this TNT to just like avoid that elevator entirely.
Sick.
And then this section's a little scary because these falling crates can actually hurt you, which is why I'm like dodging around. This is where the mask would be really useful if I still had it, because I could just run right through one of them. But yeah. So plot-wise at this point, well, let me just go through this first. There's 11 crates on here, and I just have to remember that.
Why are you moving so fast through here?
4. I've never bounced off of that. 5, 6. Oh, there's one death. Alright. Let's not do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice. Okay. Well, we'll do it again. It wouldn't be a Crash 4 showcase without at least one level reset.
Oh, Rico, you got this.
For dying. Yeah. I'm usually like really good at this part, so. But this is definitely like the part of the level that I think is the scariest.
Yeah, you're moving way
I wasn't-
too fast.
I wasn't counting, but I also know that after the end of all this, I should have 80 crates, so I can use that as well. So that's actually really there's a silver lining to this. There is a really funny visual bug that I can't show in ACG because it requires not dropping down to get the nitro detonator. So now that I'm gonna like any % fly through this, I can just show it now.
So now we get to see the any % route, guys.
I wish the level I had to any % would be one of the ones that had a skip, so I could show that off.
Yeah.
But what were we talking about before that happened? Because I feel like that was mid-sentence on something and then I died.
Honestly, I can't remember.
Oh, the plot. So at this point, because Cortex is on our side at this point, when you get to the part where you switch back to Crash and Coco, the reason is because Cortex realizes, hey, I can use the time mask to go back in time and undo my greatest failure, which is creating Crash. So he goes back and so he steals the time mask and goes back and tries to go back in time to like before Crash 1. So this is the point where Cortex becomes the villain again. I'm still gonna be safe here just because I would rather burn my mask somewhere besides here. Like right there.
Yep. I like how seamless that was, though. You didn't even lose any speed gliding into that.
So a small detail with Cortex's levels that I noticed that I thought was really cool is that you know, every character in this game uses Aku Aku because they're all allies. And like when the demo first came out, a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, why doesn't Cortex use Uka Uka?" And it turns out that for one, the plot-related reasons. So when people ask me that, I'm like, I can't say, it spoils the plot. But in the only levels where you play as Cortex and you have Aku Aku normally are levels where he is like definitively on your side. So like in Fossil Field, there's mass crates because at that point Cortex has teamed up with you, and then in this level there are mass crates because Cortex is still teamed up with you. But then like in all the alternate timeline levels, you're, with the exception of shipping error, you're playing as Cortex at a time where he's not necessarily on your side. So Aku Aku wouldn't necessarily be helping him, so there's no mass crates in the level. And I thought that was a really nice touch, even if it makes the levels themselves a bit annoying.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna let's see if I can get this. So if I cross that and okay, it didn't work. So sometimes if you cross the finish line while still in the air, Crash and Coco will walk up to the center and then they'll just fly off.
Is you said Uka Uka, right? That's the
Uka, the
is
evil
he in
mask.
this game?
He's in the very beginning, and then when he helps Cortex and Entropy escape, he passes out and they leave him behind because they think he might be dead. And then he doesn't show up for the entire remainder of the game except for the 106% ending. Alright, so this is the final hub. This is first level is nitro processing, and this entire hub has the greatest dialogue in the entire game.
Identical in appearance. Beady eyes, lips like two overripe bananas, skin like a jaundiced mole rat, a bona fide 10.
So what's going on plot-wise here is that Cortex has gone back in time, and he's tried to convince his past self that he's from the future, and trying to tell him that it's a bad idea to create Crash. His past self doesn't believe him, and thinks he's an imposter who's trying to like break in. So there's a lot of amazing banter between both of the Cortexes. But yeah, this level does have an unintentional skip that lets me keep Ika Ika for way longer than I'm supposed to. And it was actually patched out of the PS5 version, but it's still in the PC version, which is great because it makes this level a lot easier.
What are some of the things that you can do with it that you're normally not supposed to be able to?
Well, in any percent, you can skip an entire room just by abusing the anti-gravity.
Yeah.
Here, it just lets you dodge a lot of obstacles. So there's supposed to be a wall there to stop you from going to the left, and I guess they just forgot to put it in. They put it in on PS5. But yeah, so at this point, I'm not supposed to have Ika Ika.
Okay. And you just
I do
basically
have to
fly.
be I do have to be a bit careful though because I'm not supposed to have him here. The ceiling doesn't have a death trigger, so the way the anti-grav works is that you can do it twice before you have to land again. So if I accidentally put myself in a position where I'm infinitely flying up, I have to reset the level, but that basically never happens. Knock on wood. So this is 12 crates. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so this section is like really annoying without Ika Ika. I say as somebody who used to run this on PS5. But like this just makes it so much more trivial. Because Ika Ika in a way kind of just acts like another jump.
Yeah.
Just because by going anti-grav and then immediately switching back, you get a lot more airtime.
And you can conserve your jump, like by the time you've used all of it.
Mm-hmm. Let me dodge all these.
Oh my god. Busted.
Also, to tie in with the dialogue that's going on in the background right now, I would like to ask Chad a question. Does Cortex have a weird voice? I think he sounds beautiful, but I want to see what everybody else says. But yeah, so like I can dodge all of this. I do have to be a bit careful on how I do it because I can also accidentally skip some camera triggers.
Please, listen to me.
Wow, okay. Well,
Oh.
it dropped my double jump. This is a Crash game. It is not devoid of dropped inputs. Unfortunately, we died in the middle of like some of the best dialogue, so we're not going to hear it. But yeah, Past Cortex just like starts mocking himself, so it's like, please listen to me, and then Past Cortex goes, please listen to me, and he just like mocks him the whole time. Yeah, so right here the Ika Ika is really nice because these spike wheels actually they also auto kill you regardless of masks. So with Ika Ika, I just don't even have to worry about them, and then I don't have to worry about the downward.
Oh my god. Man, whose job do you think it was to put all the like flame boxes next to the TNT crates? Like that must have been stressful.
Well, I'm so glad that like I don't have to break those flame crates. I wait there just to make sure I got every crate. No, I don't have to, but it's just nice.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about Mind Over Immune. Pretty good game.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's one of those things where I see people be like, oh, it's a good game, but it's not a good Crash game, and like I used to subscribe to that mindset, but I've kind of just reached the point where I'm just like, if I judge it for what I expect it to be, I lose the ability to judge it for what it is, so I don't really follow that mindset anymore. Also, I'm surprised that killed me. So like I don't really like saying like, oh, it's a good game but not a good Crash game. And it's like, well, if it's a good game and it's a Crash game, that means by default it's a good Crash game, even if it's not the Crash game I expect it to be.
How long are these speedruns usually? Like 15 minutes left. Because I figure that's why you're asking.
Yeah, this is a pretty long category for like Crash standards. Like there's no other Crash category for like a platformer that's like 3 hours long, and it's just because there's so much in this game.
A lot of content.
Yeah, the crazy. It's a 3-hour category with very little like repetition. The most repetitive it gets is like the timeline levels, and even then they're still like they feel different enough. But yeah, this is definitely like one of the longest Crash games. Okay, so my splits are not working properly. It's fine though. Okay, so this is Toxic Tunnels. This is, in my opinion, this is the hardest level in the game. It's also the longest level in the run, and it's also my favorite level.
Oh,
we're gonna do that again.
Is it still your favorite level?
Yes,
okay.
Still my favorite level. This is the level where there's a part in it where if you die, you lose like 2 minutes. So that's why it's like one of the hardest levels. But also, it's just like it's really difficult level design overall. But the thing I think is really cool about this level is that the level after this, which is the final level in like the main playthrough, but it's not the final level in the run, is kind of like a final exam level where it absolutely tests how well can you use the quantum mask and how well can you use all the quantum masks at the same time. And this level is kind of like the opposite of that, where there's not a single quantum mask in this level. It tests how well you know how to use Crash and Coco. Which I think is really cool. But yeah, the first time I tried to do an ACG run, I lost 25 minutes in this level, and then left it with only 78% Wilper Fruit, and that's when I decided that I didn't like ACG, and then I had character development a few months later. And here I am now.
Just for anybody that might be tuning in right now, ACG is all clear gems.
Yeah. So this is the multicolored gem path, kind of a staple in most Crash games. I do have all 4 clear gems, or color gems rather. But this section is very long and it does not have a single checkpoint. But I also think that, like, funnily enough, this is like one of the hardest levels in any percent, without a doubt. But in all clear gems, once you get past this route, I actually find the rest of the level to be fairly easy. But this section is definitely brutal.
All right, making our way through. So much electricity going on.
Yeah. So the red gem path is the scariest one. It is overall the hardest part of this path. And very often, if I do die in this gem path, it is in this part of it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the wall running in this game can be a bit finicky. The key to it is that I always try to jump at the moment that I see like Crash and Coco are starting to like struggle and like starting to let go. And that generally works for me, and it's really important for this. I'm trying to land on one of these carts, and it's not working. Okay. Well, I lost that mask, and that can be very, very dangerous, but hopefully it will be fine. If not, we might be spending an extra 3 minutes here.
You got this.
There we go, yeah. That one especially, like, you really want to jump at the last second, because if you jump too early, you can completely miss that last wall and die. I killed a run a few days ago to that. Yeah, this section at least is, like, a lot nicer. Although it does still have a couple spots that are a bit scary, and I wish I had the mask. That is one of them. Thankfully I didn't die.
I could see where that could go wrong. No way you can do that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I found that out like maybe a month ago, and that made that entire section so much better.
I bet.
Alright, so this is the scary part.
What the?
I actually have like a visual setup for that. At the moment I see the crate is at its like apex and about to drop down, I jump immediately. And like it always lines up well. So like that part, like again, I'm not too scared of that section, but it is a little nerve-wracking without a mask. Thankfully though, this last part is really easy, except for I want to jump off the minecart before it begins the downward slope because I can get hit by the ceiling, and that is the worst way to die. Yeah, so I jump off here and then slide jump. That is the hidden gem. That is the gem path. It counts as a checkpoint, so if I die, it's fine. And that is the worst part of that level out of the way. The rest of this is just some really cool platforming. And the reason this level is so hard in any percent is because you can actually do a lot of these cycles really quickly, and there's not as many that you can do quickly because of having the great crates. But I can still like speed up some parts of it like this. And there's a golden wumpa fruit over there that I don't need to get because I got an extra one earlier, which lets me catch this cycle. For some reason, these two crates don't have anything in them, and I think they're the only crates in the entire series that are like that. There's no fruit whatsoever. They're literally just crates. I don't know why I went for that. That doesn't actually save any time, so I really am not sure why I went for that jump.
Just feeling it, I guess.
Yeah. That was not supposed to be a slide.
Oh my gosh. Did you know you wouldn't die there?
I was like, I can probably save this.
That was crazy.
Yeah, the reason that doesn't save any time is because I have to wait for that cockroach to stop shocking anyway. That was a little gross. So. I can tell that Toxic Tunnels is not being kind today, so I'm gonna play its game, not mine.
All right, bonus level. See what's going on here.
Yeah, so there's a strat in this bonus that my gold doesn't even have because like I can never carry a mask here when I want to, and then on the odd case I do, something else goes wrong in the level. But ideally I would use the mask to damage abuse on those two nitros there, because I do have to backtrack for them. But if I just damage abuse on them, then that's not a thing I have to do. Or I don't have to backtrack for the nitro, I have to backtrack for the iron crates that are under them, rather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hit that. Yeah, so like if I did have the mask, then I could have just damage abused through the nitro to hit those two crates, and it would mean I wouldn't have to backtrack at all. And then these minecarts are also like some of the few hazards that do auto kill you regardless of mask. So even though there's a
Okay.
mask coming up, I have to not get hit by these. And it's funny because these are the only minecarts that are like that, because the minecarts in the gem path are not. They don't auto kill you, and then the minecarts at the beginning of the level you don't have a mask anyway. So I don't know whether or not they are like that. That was supposed to be a double jump, but okay. The only downside to that is that there's a damage boost after the checkpoint that I would do that I just can't do now. So I'll just have to wait on TNT. Yeah, like right here, I would burn the mask here just to break the reinforcers faster, but I can't do that now. Do some cycle skipping here with some slide jumps.
What must I do to prove myself? Mother's name, Sharon. Childhood pet, Rob.
Alright, cool, I caught this cycle.
Favorite food, buttered noodles. Butter on the side.
Yeah, we get a lot of Cortex lore.
Password to my diary. This
Apparently his mom's name is Sharon and he really likes buttered noodles with noodles on the side. Or with butter on the side, rather. So these bats, consistent with bats in the Crash series in general, are probably some of the worst enemies in the game. You can't slide them; they'll kill you if you try. And I genuinely like. I think the only Crash game I can think of where bats are an enemy and they aren't a massive pain in the ass is the N.SANTY trilogy version of Crash 1.
Oh, just specifically the N.SANTY trilogy.
Yeah, because like the original Crash 1, the bats are awful.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I mean, honestly, all things
Nice.
considered, that wasn't the terrible Toxic Tunnels. Alright, so, in contrast to that, the last two levels in the game are actually fairly short. So this is Cortex Castle. This is supposed to be the final level in the game, but there is one more timeline level after this. But yeah, again, this is the level that tests how well you know the quantum masks. And this is also like, this is a level that like every time someone plays it for the first time, it like absolutely kicks their ass. Like even me, I'm pretty sure I died like 50 to 60 times the first time I played this level.
press on his triangular fossa. But how?
That was a little scary.
Yeah, this is intense. Oh my god. Dang. This is so sick. That's a really cool bonus level.
Yeah, I do really like that one. Alright, so we've had Ika and Kapunawa, so coming up next is Akano. Also, this dialogue is amazing, so I will try not to die.
Loud? Why I never? What is it? Am I seeing double? Embryo, quickly! Revoke this fraud hologram access! No, Embryo! I'm no fraud! I'm from the future! You must listen to me! Embryo, do you not recognize your own master? I'm the real Cortex! No, Embryo, I am! Ding dong, ding dong! Oh my!
Also, you might have to turn down your speakers slightly because it might be going through your mic.
Oh yeah, that's probably just gonna happen because of the
Yeah.
because of the way we have the audio set
Yeah,
up.
yeah, I know.
If it was still like early in the run, I would
Yeah.
try and fix it, but I can't.
It only happened every once in a while, so I didn't even care
Yeah.
to bring it up. But it was only there that it happened for multiple voice lines. So
Yeah, the dialogue there is like on the louder side.
yeah, pretty much that's the only time it happens. Pretty much whenever he's talking, but no big
Yeah.
deal.
It's not usually a problem because I usually listen to the game through my headset, but just for the way we have the audio set up, it's going through my monitor speakers right now.
Quit struggling.
Alright, it's very good I didn't lose that mask, and hopefully I don't lose it here, but this is probably the coolest part of the entire game.
All right, let's see it.
Not a doppelganger. No, forget it.
Oh, because you're switching through masks non-stop.
That'll shut me up.
Oh my god, okay. So, I jumped a little too early there, and unfortunately I will not be able to show off a really cool damage abuse strat. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I had the mask here, there's like there's a damage abuse that saves probably about like 15 seconds. You can damage abuse through this section, like through this laser here, and it skips having to wait on these TNTs. There is a way to do this without the mask, but it is a huge pain in the ass, and I'm not even gonna bother. I can do that to skip that mask. But yeah,
How
that
many more,
entire
levels
section.
do we have?
There's one more level, and then which is a pretty short one, and then the final boss.
All right, guys, we're getting down to the wire.
All right, so this is the last alternate timeline level. This is Seeing Double. This is my favorite Cortex level. I think it's actually really well designed, and it's an alternate timeline version of Cortex Castle, the level we just did.
Differently. I mean, oh, Crash.
I'm actually going to intentionally slow down here, because... Yeah, so that bat up there has a tendency to break for some reason, and I'm not exactly sure the cause, but a user in my chat, Goober, he suggested it might be like me skipping a trigger early in the level, so I've tried slowing down there, and it's been working a lot better, not like 100% consistently, but like the bat breaks way less often, so there might be some merit to it. If the bat breaks, all I have to do is just death abuse and then it fixes it. That bat did break, but I can luckily shoot that one. It's only
okay.
it's only really annoying in 100% and 106% because if the bat breaks, you have to die, and you can't do that in 100% and 106% because you need the insanely perfect relics. And I did a 100% run of about a week ago, and I lost 16 minutes in this level because one, I just kept dying at the end to things that were like really just like I made a minor mistake and it resulted in a death, but then also like I had to reset a million times just to get the bat to work. So that's like the only thing I dislike about this level is sometimes the bats just don't function. But yeah, this is a level where like it plays to Cortex's strengths really well. It's a lot of precision,
For me to reason
but
with
going fast in it is really rough because Cortex is not really designed for speed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was very risky. I was like definitely risking that one. I was like, maybe I can make this. Go.
Not this time.
Yeah, I am really glad that I didn't have to death abuse for the bat because having to do this level on only 2 deaths is a bit of a bit rough. All right, I'm trying to line this up so it's like not bad. Okay, there we go.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, it's just had to time the bounces differently. All right, so the last part of this is really just the last part of Cortex Castle. So thankfully this level does not overstay its welcome like a lot of the other timeline levels do. Also, you just get to do this part again, and it's really cool. So,
we have an evil doppelganger situation.
or you could die to the top of the disc.
And then
The
you get to
discs
do it
are
again.
yeah, the discs are a bit weird where sometimes they just kill you even if you land on them, and I don't know why. And sometimes like they like ram right into you, like into your side, and they just don't do anything. And I just don't understand them. The discs are weird. That's not how I like doing this.
Oh,
Now we're in a bit of a scary mode.
yeah. Hopefully you can get this.
Yeah, that's probably the roughest part because I have to... Okay. Backup plan.
No way you can land on that.
This is how I used to do it before I learned it properly. I haven't had to do that in a while though, so I'm glad I got that. I can still die here, so I will try to not do that. And we're good.
Nice, dude. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, if you got one more death there, you would have had to restart the entire level. So he was able to clutch that out. And on to the final boss.
Yep, all we have left is the final boss. I'll check the pause menu to verify I got all the clear gems to be sure, but this should be all of them.
Let's go.
Yep, 228. Alright. So this is the final boss, it's Cortex again, and I'm very impressed with the way they did this boss. So now Cortex like turns the tables on you, and now he's gonna use the Quantum Mask against you.
Oh, okay.
Stop that! Resistance! Help!
So in this phase he'll start phasing in the platforms.
Shoot-o-matic! Unbelievable! Resistance! Help!
And then you just have to wait for him to spawn in an assistant, and then just
Time out! Time out!
throw it at him.
Annihilate!
So I go all the way to the edge here because it makes it easier to dodge the lasers because he always does them in a set pattern, and if you're at the edge they don't always reach you, which we'll see here.
What's the matter? Afraid of this
So I didn't even have to dodge the
Wow.
first one.
Oh, nice.
Careful! I might flip!
Oh boy.
Yes, your whole world is upside down!
Wow, you're able to dodge pretty much all of that.
I can
Yeah.
see your tiny brain cells frying themselves!
Okay.
Stop that!
So in the next section, which is the part where you start slowing down time, there is like a slightly tricky jump. I used to find it a lot harder in the past, but now I don't find it too bad. It saves a good like 10 seconds if I get it, but if I fail it, then it loses a bit of time.
Ready, set, cower before cold.
There we go. Doing that saves having to wait for him to spawn the platforms back. It also makes hitting that assistant a lot easier because the slowdown lines up so that he never fires.
I'm bored of
Alright,
your
so there's
shenanigans.
there's like 4 more lab assistants here, and timing ends when the last one hits him.
Stop that! Stop that! Resistance! Help!
1, 2, 3, and then after this one will be time. And
there it is.
time. So on my end I have 304.17 loadless, which to me anything that's a sub 310 is good for a reset list.
And then, yep, well, our timers matched up. Load list, yeah, 3:14:55.
Yep. So
Cool.
yeah,
Awesome
definitely
job, man.
definitely rough in a lot of spots, but given the nature of this category, it's gonna be all over the place sometimes. Like minor mistakes are just all over the place. I was also experimenting with the 60 FPS to see how I liked it compared to uncapped. Like I definitely do feel like uncapped FPS, the game feels more responsive, which from what I hear is not supposed to make sense because it would be better to have a consistent frame rate, but this game just kind of just is finicky all over the place sometimes, so I haven't decided which I prefer, because the time warp doesn't save a lot in this category. Like, if I was doing any percent, I would absolutely not play uncapped.
That was a really fun run to watch, though. This is a really dope game.
Yeah, I think the game is really cool, and I think this category and any percent are both really sick. And like, if anybody watched this really liked it or wants to get into it or wants to watch more of it, there's definitely a lot of really cool runners you can check out. And, like, all of the top runners on the leaderboard are like really great runners to watch. So.
And if you want to check out Rico, you can go follow him on Twitch at Rico_KSB. Also on pretty much every other social media, same thing, Rico_KSB.
Yep. I'm gonna be streaming later tonight. Probably, if I'm not doing this category, I might do any percent tonight. And if I don't do that, I might just play. I'll probably play one of the other Crash games. Like I might play Crash 3 because I've been playing that again recently. But yeah, basically, I do stream essentially every night at about between like 9:30 and 10:30 Eastern time for US is around when I start, and then I go for about 5 or 6 hours. So if you guys want to see Crash, I stream it every day.
The KSB stands for Korean Style Barbecue. Is that right?
Oh, I wish. No, it's just the initials of my real name.
Gotcha.
I'm actually like I'm at the point where I'm like starting to apply for partner, and I'd actually like to remove the KSB if I get accepted. So I'm actually kind of banking on that, so I can just be Rico with the underscore.
Well, if you guys want to help out Rico on that push, you can go check him out tonight. He'll be live, I'm sure, and pretty much any other day. Streams a lot.
Yep.
So you guys want to catch out some, or check out
especially
some,
since
Crash content.
Yeah, especially. Again, since the pandemic started for the past year, I have essentially been streaming every day. So yeah, if you
Also,
guys just want to watch any Crash game,
you guys can of course follow me, EasyScape, pretty much everywhere. Twitch, YouTube. If you want to watch future Speedrun Saturdays, we do these every single Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Awesome to have Rico on here, but we're not going to hold you guys any longer. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who. Thing. Oh yeah, go for it. Go for it.
If you're not sold on Crash, I do also sometimes run Spyro 1. So.
Hell yeah. I mean, you got me sold right
all
there.
I got.
All right.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, thank you. And also thank you to anybody who resubscribed. Thank you to our new subscriber, Merturn. Appreciate you guys for supporting our stream. It's going to go right into editing these videos down to create even more content for you guys. Thank you so much. And I will catch you guys next Saturday. All right. And also, main channel video coming out this week. So look forward to